1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome into the Hick At Nite Show. Here's Ryan Hickey.
And welcome on into Hick at Night. Ryan Hickey with you right here on the Infinity Sports Network. Woo! What a busy Sunday we have. Finally, the brackets have been revealed. We know the 68 teams. We know who they're playing. We know where they're playing. We know when they are playing. And now the fun really starts here in college basketball. Now we can make our picks. Now we can get our Final Four picks and national title. Call our shots by predicting a big-time upset nobody sees coming. We got a lot of bracket breakdown for you here over the next 4 hours. We got Mike LaTulip coming on here as well. Former player, current analyst, does a great job covering the sport. He'll give us his expertise as well in just about an hour or so. Stay tuned for that. Mike is tremendous, so that'll help make you smarter as you do fill your brackets. We got some football as well. Don't you worry, NFL free agency this week. So we got so much here on a very loaded Sunday. Thank you for joining us here and spending a little bit of your St. Patrick's Day weekend with us right here on the Infinity Sports Network. All right, so let's start the show here because there's so many different directions we can go. Now that the bracket has been set, now we know who the one seeds are. Now we know who is playing who. Where I want to start the show is not by talking about Final Four picks or national champion yet. What I want to talk about here is pressure. As we head into the tournament, who has the most pressure on them to come through and win? My answer to that question is Auburn. I think Auburn, of all the teams in the tournament, has the most pressure to make the Final Four and then break through and win a national title. And there are a few reasons why I say that. Number one here, unlike most big-time programs, right, that rely on five-star freshmen in the transfer portal, Auburn's a development school. You know, they bring you in, they develop you, they make you better over time. Bruce Pearl is tremendous at developing his players over time. And you look at the Auburn roster, that reflects that. 7 of their 8 scorers are seniors. Now, Auburn has used the transfer portal. A lot of the big-time players are transfers, but when you dive even further than that, because they're not all 4-year guys, 4 of the top 6 players for Auburn have been in the program for at least 2 years. So when you go the development route like Auburn has, it takes longer to get that elite level. And then once you're there, it's even harder to stay on top. And so that's why I think, like, when you look at the Auburn plan, they're not going to be in the national title chase every single year the way schools like Duke and Kentucky are. They have limited opportunities, limited windows here to cash in. And so when you have a massive opportunity, the way Auburn does of being the number one overall seed, being one of the best teams in college basketball all season long, having some great experienced players on their team, when you have this lined up the way Auburn does, you got to come through. You have to convert because these chances don't come around that often. Auburn's made just one Final Four appearance in school history. That came in 2019, so pretty recently here. They've not had a lot of historical success when it comes to basketball. This is by far their best chance. They have to break through. They got to convert. I think for me, they have the most pressure on them here to convert and make the Final Four and win a national title of all teams in the tournament. I'm not saying it's easy to do, trust me. But with how they built their team, with how much they rely on seniors and development, who knows the next time Auburn will get as good of a chance as they have right now. Beyond the scarcity of opportunity that Auburn has to make Final Fours and win national titles, they've also been the most dominant team in college basketball this season. I know things that have not finished, let's say on a strong note here, losing 3 out of their last 4. But this is a team that's been ranked in the top 5 every single week of the AP poll since November. They've been right there, and a large part of that, they've been number 1. They have been consistently dominant all season long. Hell, they just were regular season champs of the SEC, a conference that was by far the best in college basketball, a conference that just made history. They sent 14 teams to the NCAA tournament. Think about that. 14 of the 16 schools in the conference are dancing this week in the tournament. And Auburn, in the deepest, toughest conference in all of college basketball this season, went 15-3 and won the regular season title. I know they didn't win the conference tournament title, but for me, that's more impressive winning the regular season title because that requires consistency and dominance week in and week out for months, not just getting hot for a 3 or 4 day span. This team is really damn good. When they play some of the best teams on their schedule, they win. They got 15 quad 1 wins, most in the regular season in all of the country. This team wins and wins big. And part of the reason they're able to win so big is because they have one of the best players in college basketball, Janai Broome, a guy who's been there now for a while, who's very veteran, who's one of the best players, again, like we just said, in all college basketball. He helps run and dictate the number 1 offensive efficiency team in the country, according to Ken Pom. So this is an Auburn team that scores, but not only scores a ton, is very efficient when they are scoring. 13th in terms of defensive rating here. So they're very balanced. They're not, reliant on one area. They're not reliant on one player. They're not reliant on one style of offense, whether it's shooting the 3 like Alabama or living inside the paint like St. John's does. This team can shoot the 2, shoot the 3. They can score with anyone. They can also play really good defense. They can win a high-flying game. They can win a low, grinded-out, physical game as well. They can win in so many different styles. Bruce Pearl's a really good college basketball coach. They have seasoned veteran experience that you really don't see that much in college basketball. Listen to this stat here. The average age of an Auburn basketball player this season is 23.2 years. Let's go to the NBA here for a second. The Oklahoma City Thunder are the youngest team in the league. Their average age of player on their roster is 24.2. Alabama, a college team, on the aggregate, is 1 year younger than the Oklahoma City Thunder. That is veteran experience you never, ever see in college basketball. I think that works in Auburn's favor. They've seen the bright lights. They've seen the big stage before. They're not going to be intimidated. I think they'll be motivated off of last year's first-round upset to Yale, to where they're going to come in, despite being the number 1 overall seed, with something to prove, with a chip on their shoulder. That works well for them. Add everything we just set up. Best team in college basketball. Veteran experienced team. Just won the SEC regular season. Arguably the best player in college basketball, if not top 2 in Janai Broome on their roster. Balanced scoring. Good defensively. Add it all up. This to me is like this is right here for the taking for Auburn to go out and win it all. I think they have the most pressure on them of any college basketball team right now in this 68-team field to make the Final Four and win the national championship. If you disagree, if you think there's a team right now in college basketball with more pressure on them than Auburn to win it all, 855-212-4227. 855-212-4227. Also, you can tweet me, Ryan_Hickey3 on Twitter. Now, it's not all sunshine and roses for Auburn here as they do enter March Madness. Again, they have the number 1 overall seed. They're playing in their backyard in Atlanta. That's going to help them here when it comes to at least trying to make the Final Four. But they are entering the tournament on a little bit of a downslide. They've lost 3 out of their last 4 games. They lost in the SEC Conference semifinals to Tennessee. And so now that they're entering the tournament on a skid, really the only skid they faced all season, I thought this was really interesting. Saturday after their loss, Bruce Pearl met with the media, and he was asked by a reporter, Bruce, are you in the panic button going into the tournament now losing 3 out of the last 4 games? Take a listen to Auburn's head coach's answer to that question.
We lost to Alabama, Tennessee, and at Texas A&M. Yeah, we're panicked. That's a real softball. We lost to some great teams. We lost the buzzer against Alabama. We had possessions here, so yeah, we're panicked. I can hardly wait till next weekend and start playing again. Just give me let's get to Sunday. Let's find out where we're going. Let's find out who we're playing, and let's get back to work. I'm looking forward, not back.
Spicy! Bruce Pearl having no time to answer questions about if he's panicked about the losing streak. Well, now he knows. Now he knows where he's going. Now he knows who he's playing. Interesting second-round matchup here for Auburn, by the way, assuming they can get past their first game. Louisville-Creighton in the 8-9 matchup. That's an interesting matchup here in round number 2 if you're Auburn. But I like the fire that Bruce Pearl just had there. I like the feistiness he had. And again, when you talk about all the accomplishments and accolades Auburn's had this season for how great they've been, I think now when you look at this 3-game streak out of 4 losing, I think this can actually work in their favor. I think this can help recenter them. Not allow their head to get too big, not listen to the media, not listen to the hype, maybe actually be flying a little under the radar. Maybe help put a chip on this shoulder, on this team's shoulder to have them play with an edge. If you have a talented, experienced team that now is also hungry and motivated, woo, good luck to anybody in Auburn's way. I think they're going to need it. I think they will make the Final Four. I think they'll make the national championship game. I really like Auburn in the makeup this year. But I think when you look at the factors here in terms of now that the brackets are released, who has the most pressure on them to win, I think it's the Auburn Tigers when it's all said and done. If you disagree, if you think there's a team right now, whether it's Duke, whether it's Houston, whether it's a red-hot Florida Gators team that I'm sure right now, if you're listening to us and filling out your bracket, I bet most of you right now are penciling in, or maybe putting in pen, I should say, Florida into that national champion slot. There's a lot of people right now, I think, that notice what the Gators did this week, notice what the Gators have been doing the last 2 months, and saying, I'm riding the hot hand. If you think it's Florida, any team right now you think has more pressure on them than Auburn to win the national title, 855-212-4227. 855-212-4227. You can also tweet me, Ryan_Hickey3, and you can check out our Infinity Sports Network YouTube stream and write in the comment section there as well. We're looking for the team right now as the brackets are released with the most pressure. Doesn't mean that they're going to lose, but I think when it's all said and done, you're talking about, playing to make a Final Four run, playing to win a national title. Who has the most pressure on them to get it done? I think right now for me, it's Auburn. 855-212-4227. That is the number to call if you do disagree. We're also going to have some fun here. I'm very excited about this. So, good news, bad news. Bad news is I will not be here next week. I'm going on a bachelor party. One of my good friends, Drew, is getting married soon. So we're going down to Hollywood, Florida, to the Hard Rock Casino for March Madness, the first and second day. They're big gamblers, and he wants to go basically sit in the casino all day and gamble on basketball games from sunup to sundown. I cannot wait. But unfortunately, going down to Florida will mean I cannot be here for the show Sunday night. That's the bad news. The good news is, because we're going down and gambling is kind of already in the. I'm not a huge gambler. I'm very big time sore loser actually, so I don't do it too much. But I'm a social gambler, we'll say. So I'll be gambling responsibly, of course, next week. But what I wanted to do to kind of get the show involved and have a little fun here and get you involved in my gambling adventures is this. This is what I want from you here. I want your best or the double-digit seed, I should say. The double-digit seed that you think you feel the strongest about pulling off an upset in round number 1. Here's how we're going to do this together. By the show's end, I'm going to write down, you want to call in 855-212-4227. State your case for which double-digit seed you are the most confident in pulling off a round 1 upset. The one that I'm sold on the most, I will pick a team and pick a salesman. What I'm going to do is this. I'm going to put $50 down on that team to win outright. If that team loses, well, I lose the money, you lose nothing. If that team wins, if the team you call your shot to pull off an upset does so pull off an upset, we will split the profits 50-50. It is what we would call here a no-sweat bet. So if you have a team right now, as you look at the brackets, you peruse a matchup, a double-digit seed, you are the most confident in pulling off an upset. 855-212-4227. The strongest case, the best case, the most convincing case to be made. I'll put some money down. If that team wins, we split the profits. If they lose, you lose nothing. 855-212-4227. 855-212-4227. It is Ryan Hickey with you right here on the Infinity Sports Network. When we return, let's give you some Final Four picks. And I want to give you an upset that I've seen nobody talking about. We'll do that when we do return. It is Ryan Hickey with you right here on the Infinity Sports Network.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 2 minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
It's Hick at Night with Ryan Hickey.
The brackets are finally out. We know who's playing where. We know what the matchups are. We know the path for a lot of top teams to the Final Four and the path for them to get to the national title. We opened the show by discussing the team that has the most pressure on them to break through and win. I think for me, it's Auburn. How consistently dominant they've been all season long. Winning the SEC regular season, a conference, by the way, that is by far the best in all of college basketball this season. Having a player like Janai Broom, who, if he doesn't win National Player of the Year, will come in second to Cooper Flagg. Like, they have so much working for them. And for a school that is not attracting the top 5 stars every single year, they're not in the mix for a Cooper Flagg kind of guy. The way Duke is, the way Kentucky is every single year. They go to the development route. And when you go that route, there's nothing wrong with that. The problem is when you go that route, you're not in the mix every single year the way a lot of other schools are. So you got to pick and choose your spots. This is a great spot right now for Auburn. I think for me, they have the most pressure on them to break through and win a national title. If you think there's a team right now with more pressure on them than Auburn to win the national championship, 855-212-4227. Can tweet me, Ryan_Hickey3, or check out our YouTube chat on the Infinity Sports Network YouTube page to give your answers here as well. We'll get your thoughts in 1 second, but now that the bracket is out, I want to give you my Final Four picks. I want to tell you right now who is going to San Antonio and who is cutting down the nets as a 2025 national champion. I think when it's all said and done here, we're looking at a chalk Final Four. I think the first weekend, right, you see a lot of madness, a lot of upsets, 14 over a 3, 12 over a 5. Oh, hell, dare I say a 15 over a 2, and we've seen a 16 over a 1. I think that opening weekend is when you get a lot of chaos and a lot of upsets. But then once you kind of get past that opening weekend and the chaos kind of calms down a little bit, I think it's a lot of chalk in the Sweet 16 and Elite Eight. So when it's all said and done, I think we're looking at 2 number 1 seeds, 2 number 2 seeds going to the Final Four. Auburn, I think, makes the Final Four. Alabama makes the Final Four. St. John's, I have making the Final Four. And Houston, the Cougs, I have making the Final Four. I think Auburn's a team that bounces back after getting upset in that 4-13 matchup last year to Yale. We just talked about it, right? They're really good defensively, really good offensively. They got a great veteran presence. Bruce Pearl's a good coach. I think they break through and make a Final Four run here. I think they make the title game. This year, the Tigers do. St. John's, they are extremely tough, man. If you've not watched a Rick Pitino coach team this year, number one, you're missing out. Number two, watch them. This tournament. They, I think, have the makeup of a perfect tournament team. They are extremely tough. They're mentally tough. They are very well coached by Rick Pitino. They do so many little things well. They rebound really well. They don't really foul you, give you chances on the offensive end a ton. They have great basketball sense. They do little things that make that maybe not in December and January don't seem that big, but come March, whether it's going on top of a screen or positioning yourself to get a huge rebound late, they do a lot of the small things well that add up to them winning a lot of basketball games. This team in 2025, right, since the calendar turned from 2024 to 2025, they're 19-1. 19-1. They are very consistent. They play really hard. Their weakness is definitely shooting. Their three-point percentage is one of the worst in college basketball, but they have gotten better, and that is an area that's improving. So I like St. John's. I think they're poised to make a big run here. They're in a really tough bracket, Florida being the number one. They got Maryland in there. They got Texas Tech in there. It's a brutal bracket. I think those St. John's, that toughness, that mental toughness, shines in a stage like this. I think they do come out here of the West bracket. I like Houston. Everything we kind of said about St. John's, I think also equates to the Cougs. They're really elite defensively. They are extremely tough, especially mentally tough. Calvin Sampson's a really good coach. They have great veteran presence led by LJ Cryer, Emmanuel Sharp. What I like, too, is they're healthy. Houston's been at the top, a 1 seed or 2 seed now for the last few years under Calvin Sampson. But even going back to last year when they lost to Duke in the Sweet 16, their best player in Jamal Shed was hurt. Had an ankle injury at halftime and played limited minutes and really was a non-factor the second half. That's a team that's been banged up in years past. Now they're healthy. Healthy going to the NCAA tournament. I think for me, that makes a huge difference for Houston. That's a very dangerous, very tough team to knock out. And Alabama, they have a lot of what I've said before. Veteran presence. Great head coach in Nate Oates. The difference, though, for me, and really that matchup we kind of look at here, Duke, Alabama in the Elite Eight, which would be a lot of fun. I like Alabama's ability to knock down the three. They're one of the best three-point shooting teams. It doesn't take a genius, and trust me, I am not one, to tell you three is more than two. They're well-balanced. They have scoring all throughout the roster. They play good defense here as well. They're better defensively, I think, this year than they were last year. I think Bama goes back to the Final Four. So Auburn, St. John's, Alabama, Houston. My 4 Final Four picks, 2 1 seeds, 2 2 seeds. Chalky, I know, but we've seen a lot of these teams dominate college basketball. I don't think the tournament will be much different. My national champion is Houston. I think they finally break through here. Again, they're healthy. They play really good defense. They have balanced scoring. I think the Cougs win it all. Now, before we get to your thoughts at 855-212-4227, 855-212-4227, I want to give you a massive round one upset no one's talking about. Right, we all know the upset seeds and kind of the likely trap areas. Right, the 12-5 game is always one that's a popular upset pick. Maybe a 7-10 here as well. Let's get nuts. Because I feel like every year there's always one upset nobody sees coming. It's on no one's bingo card. Very few people have. Let's get out of it here. Let's try to call our shot. Last year, for example, in terms of the upset no one saw coming, right? Number 14, Oakland, taking down number 3, Kentucky. I think we see a similar 14-3 upset here. I think we see the 14th seeded Lipscomb take down Iowa State, the 3 seed. A few reasons here. Number one, Lipscomb, very good three-point shooting team. They have 5 guys on their roster that shoot 33% or better from 3. In college basketball, that's pretty good. And especially when you have 5 different guys that can be relied upon to score threes, to shoot threes and make them, I should say. They have balanced scoring. They spread out the floor, opens up the offense. They don't turn the ball over. So they take care of it. Not going to give the other team opportunities here. And you look at Iowa State right now. Their head coach, TJ Olsberger, just announced earlier tonight, their second leading scorer, Keyshawn Gilbert, out for the tournament. So Iowa State limps in to the tournament. Lipscomb can make threes, doesn't turn it over. Give me Lenny Acuff and Lipscomb. 14-3, the upset nobody sees coming. Mark it down right now. We will see it later on this week. 855-212-4227. 855-212-4227. We're doing two things here. We're talking about which team has the most pressure to win the national title this year, and we're also doing a little betting here. Which double-digit seed do you feel the most confident in pulling off an upset? 855-212-4227. Let's go to Frankie in Wisconsin to kick us off here on the phones. What's up, Frankie?
Yo.
What's going on, man? How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good, man. What's on your mind?
You said that Auburn has the most pressure to win the national championship, and I say Duke.
Why do you say Duke?
They're going to get Cooper Flagg back from winning the ACC tournament. He probably won't be back next year. I think they need to win it right now with him if they ever do win it with him.
That's a fair point, Frankie. I appreciate the call. Here's why, for me, Auburn's still ahead of Duke. While Cooper Flagg is the best player, the thing for Duke is, at least if they don't win it this year, it'd be a disappointment for sure. But at least for them, they are going to be in the mix, and they will get another highly hyped 5-star stud coming out of high school next year, 2 years from now, 3 years from now. Like, remember Zion? Just back in 2019, right? That was a kid, kind of like Cooper Flagg. We talked about since they were like freshmen and sophomore in high school. It was like, you knew this kid's going to be the next big thing. You know, Duke had Zion. On that same team, they had R.J. Barrett and Cam Reddish. They didn't win the national title. They didn't make the Final Four even. Disappointment. And I think it'd be a huge disappointment here if Duke does not make the Final Four and win a national title with Cooper Flagg. But why I think Auburn has more pressure than Duke is because, well, it'll be a disappointment for the Dukies. At least they will be in the mix every year for the top guy. So if they don't win with Cooper Flagg this year, there is going to be another Cooper Flagg 5 years from now, 7 years from now that Duke will be in the mix for and probably get. They're going to have another opportunity versus when you look at Auburn, right, they go the development route. A lot of their guys are senior laden. So when you choose to keep your guys there for long periods of time, develop them, build your team over 2 or 3 years, it takes longer to get to the top, and it's very easy to kind of fall off because once those guys leave, then you got to build the next group back up. Auburn's not going to be every year, on the short list for teams to make the Final Four. Duke is. So that's why I think Auburn has more pressure, just because their opportunities are less than, let's say, opportunities here for Duke. 855-212-4227. 855-212-4227. So we're also doing this here on the show. I'm very excited about it. So I'm going to a bachelor party next week. A gambling-centric bachelor party here, if you will. So what I want to do is I want to get the show involved next week. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put $50 down of my own money on the team that you believe, as a double-digit team, can pull off an upset here in just round one. Just win one game. That's all we're asking for. The person that calls in at 855-212-4227, 855-212-4227, that can make the strongest case as to why their double-digit pick will win. I'll put $50 down. If you are right, we'll split the winnings 50-50. If you are wrong, it's a no-sweat bet. I get the $50. We have some fun here. You lose nothing. So it's risk-free for you. But there's some money in the line here that we can win ourselves. So we're only taking one. One caller, one pick here. Which one is it? Which double-digit seed will we see pull off a round one upset? 855-212-4227. Michael is in Chicago. What's up, Michael?
Hey, what's up, Ryan? Happy selection Sunday, dude. How you doing?
Likewise, man. We're doing well, buddy. What's on your mind?
All right, let's win some money, man.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. All right, the one I think it's going to hit, man, it's got to be, let's look at the West. Let's go and put that $50 on Drake over
Missouri.
Drake Yeah, Drake
11 over a 6. Why do you like the Drakies?
Here's why. Missouri's been struggling lately, 2-6 in their last 8. So the struggle has been there. Obviously, they play in the SEC. It's tough.
Right.
Drake. Let's talk about Bennett Sturts. The kid can play. He's averaging almost 20 a game. So you got that. They're also been a top 40th defensive team since early January. And Drake likes to play in the 60s and 70s. Missouri averaging, 84 a game. I think Drake keeps it low in the 60s or 70s like they have all season. Missouri's not used to playing like that. I actually think Drake wins this thing something like 72-65, something like that. I think it's Drake, man. I think that's where the $50 should go.
Michael, that is well done. I appreciate the call. That is what we're looking for, Mike. We'll announce the winner here last segment of the show. So if you can't listen, I get it. Check out the podcast feed, Hick at Night. We'll announce which caller here we're going to go with. That is right now the outline. Michael, that was outstanding. That is what we're looking for here. Facts, convincing. If you want to just call in and say, hey, Ryan, I think New Mexico is going to upset Marquette. Great. If you have no reason for it, you say, I just feel it. You got to convince me here. You got to convince it. Come out with facts. Michael in Chicago citing Missouri's record, citing Drake's defense here. Let's go. That is what we're looking for. Mike's going with Drake taking down Missouri. Strong start here to be convincing in terms of why your upset pick will be the one to be proven right. 855-212-4227. Let's go to Tom in Boston. What's up, Tom?
What's up?
Hello, sir.
I got to pick. I'm putting my money on McNeese, and I got two very good reasons. Number one, I don't know if you've seen, but they're going a little viral right now with some walkout videos. A little manager walking out with the boombox.
You're right.
Same kind of vibes as DJ Burns walking out with the boombox last year. And then number two, when I look at head coaches to make deep runs in the tournament, I look for high character guys. I look for leaders of men. And I think Will Wade really fits that bill. I'll hang up and listen.
I appreciate the call, Tom, and I appreciate the points there. Yeah, I think Will Wade and high character, definitely two things that belong in the same sentence, no doubt about it. You're hitting a soft spot here, Tom. Last year, for those that recall, if you do, great memory and great on you. Last year, picked McNeese to go to the Final Four. I was all in on Will Wade. I thought the bracket they were in was just wide open. I thought Purdue was going to kind of crap the bed and lose early again, despite being the 1 seed in that bracket. Now, go figure, they go all the way to the national title game, and McNeese, I believe, loses in round number 1. So that did not fare well. But I have a soft spot for McNeese, and I think I can't say double down. So I promise you right now, I just read you my Final Four picks. You did not hear McNeese State as one of the 4. I'm not sitting here picking McNeese to go to the Final Four. Hell no. Sweet 16, though, I think it might be back in. They do, for reference here, they do take on number 5 Clemson, the 5th-seeded Clemson Tigers, who've been playing well this year. And if they are able to win that, they face the winner of Purdue and High Point. But again, for this exercise here, we're looking for just one win. Just win your first game, and we win ourselves some money. Tom in Boston going McNeese. Michael in Chicago right now going Drake. If you have a double-digit seed that you can convince me to put my money down, straight up, we're not talking spready, we're just talking outright win. You can convince me that your pick is the one to believe in. We could both win some money. 855-212-4227, 855-212-4227. We'll do that throughout the show. And again, we're going to reveal the winner. We'll give you all the chances here to give your picks. 1:40 a.m. Eastern, we will reveal which pick we're going with, who we're putting the money down on. If you can't listen to them, no worries. I get it. You're busy. Check out the Hick at Night podcast feed, Night spelled N-I-T-E. It's available wherever you get your pods, or watch the replay of the YouTube live stream right now. Last segment of the show is when we will reveal what pick we're going with and who we think will pull off a round 1 upset. We'll continue to get your upset picks, and also when we do return here on Hick at Night, we'll mix in a little NFL here as well. I think there are 2 teams that truly made themselves better in free agency this week. I'll tell you who those 2 teams are after we get this latest sports update from Peter Schwartz.
Infinity Sports Network, Sports Flash.
A riddle sponsored by Progressive Insurance. What do your home and auto have in common? Progressive protects them both. It was an easy riddle. Learn more at Progressive.com. Let the madness begin. For the first time in school history, Auburn, the number 1 overall seed in the NCAA Tournament. They're in the South region. They'll face the winner of the first 4 matchup between Alabama State and St. Francis. Duke, number 1 in the East. They'll play the winner of the first 4 game between American and Mount St. Mary's. Houston, number 1 in the Midwest. They'll play SIU Evansville. Florida, number 1 in the West. They'll play Norfolk State. Also in the first 4, North Carolina against San Diego State. And Xavier takes on Texas. In the women's tournament, UCLA, number 1 overall. Other number 1s are South Carolina, USC, and Texas. Now to the NBA. We'll start in Los Angeles.
107-96 is your final. The Lakers snap their 4-game losing streak and get back in the win column. And Michael, the Suns made just 9 of 41 shots from 3.
John Ireland, Lakers Radio. Lakers over the Suns, 107-96. Luka Doncic, 33 points. Elsewhere, the Cavaliers' 16-game winning streak's over. They lose to Magic, 108-103. Sixers over the Mavs, 130-125. Nets, 122. Hawks, 114. Blazers over the Raptors, 105-102. T-Wolves, 128. Jazz, 102. And the Clippers over the Hornets, 123-88. Halftime, Thunder on top of the Bucks, 53-41. NHL in the third, Utah 2, Canucks 1, Blues 6, Ducks 2. In the second, Jets and Kraken tied at 2. Finals, Islanders 4, Panthers 2. Oilers 3, Rangers 1. Overtime, Avalanche 4, Stars 3. The Red Wings over the Golden Knights 3-0. I'm Peter Schwartz.
855-212-4227. That's the number to get in touch with us, the Infinity Sports Network. Give us a call, 855-212-4227.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. 2 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
They hear that loud, ooh, chitty, chitty, bang, chitty, chitty, bang. Oh, them cannons ring, yes, them cannons ring. Make sure you photo ready when you see the game. I thought I told you lames, we are not the same.
This is Hick at Night. Here's your host, Ryan Hickey.
We'll get back to the double-digit seats here in a second. Double-digit upsets, I should say, in round number 1. But NFL free agency was this week. And I think free agency is a little overrated because you look at the players actually on the market. There are a few game changers, right? But there are not that many game-breaking, franchise-altering players that can truly change a team's trajectory one way or another. So I think free agency is a little overblown. But with that said, I think there are two teams that legitimately improve their teams going into the draft and going into next season in free agency. First team is the Bears. Because what they did was upgrade the trenches, both the offensive line and the defensive line. And I love it. Because those are the two areas where Chicago struggled in the most. And they were the two areas, I think, were the biggest reasons why the Bears had what I would call a disappointing year number 1 of Caleb Williams. First of all, because they couldn't block for him. I get Caleb himself was bad, and it's not all in the O-line, but that O-line sucked. Williams was the most sacked quarterback of any quarterback in the league last year. He got sacked 68 times. So Ben Johnson comes in, who knows what the hell he's doing. What was the first thing he did? First thing he did was improve the protection for Caleb Williams. And he got and improved the guard-center-guard combination by trading for Jonah Jackson and Joe Thuney, signing Drew Dahlman to center. So now all of a sudden, what you did was get rid of guys that were unproven, playing out of position and inexperienced, who flat out struggled, and brought in a combined 18 years of NFL experience and a combined 4 Pro Bowls between the 3 players. You got experienced players that also know what they're doing. Now Caleb Williams will have time to throw the ball and run the offense the way it should be. They also added Grady Jarrett, Dio Dengbo on the defensive line as well. All but one signing and or trade the Bears made this past week was either for the offensive line or the defensive line. They addressed the trenches. That's what still wins in the NFL. I love it. I think the Bears legitimately took a step in the right direction here in this past week. And another team that did that was the Denver Broncos. This defense last year was very good, right? They were top 7 in the league in terms of yards per game allowed, points per game allowed. Well, their defense got even better and nastier by the additions of Dre Greenlaw and Talanoa Hufanga, both coming over from San Francisco to now add to the Broncos defense that's already really damn good. What they did was add juice. They put now a chip on the shoulder of that defense. They are now nastier than they were last year, and they were a top 7 unit last year. You add some grit to this defense that I think was sorely missing. You add some true leadership to guys like Pat Surtain, who's now the reigning defensive player of the year. Guys like Zach Allen on the defensive line as well. They got waves of good players, the Broncos do, on all 3 levels. Now, got to be healthy. Greenlaw, missed a lot of time, still coming off that Achilles injury he suffered in the Super Bowl now 2 years ago. Hufanga, his career has been marred by injuries. But you get better in pass defense. You get better in the run defense as well. But I think you add a personality to this defense that's what's missing. That should make Denver's defense that's already really good even better in 2025. Broncos, Bears, 2 teams that I think legitimately improved their teams over this past week of free agency. 855-212-4227. 855-212-4227. What we're talking about a lot since the brackets have been released is which double-digit upset do you believe will happen in round number 1? I am putting $50 down. And that's a bit, honestly, that's a huge bet for me. Again, I make bets of $1, $2. I'm not a big gambler. I'm a big sore loser. But I figured for this, we'll kind of go big here to make it worth it. You identify a double-digit seed that you think can pull off a round 1 upset. You sell me as to why I should believe and what you believe. I put that $50 down in your name. We win. We split the money. We lose. I had the $50. No risk on you. Which double-digit upset do we see going down in round number 1? 855-212-4227. Let's go down to Alabama and talk with Chris. Hello, Chris.
Hey, Ryan. Thanks for taking my call, brother.
Of course, buddy. What's on your mind, man?
Well, first of all, let me get to your national championship pick, which was Houston, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, sir.
I kind of think, in relating to who has more pressure, it's the Cougars.
Why?
And I'm in the same boat. I think they're a Final Four team. I think for some reason when Kelvin Sampson gets to Sweet 16, Elite 8, it's more of he seems to struggle in that time, and especially if they do get to the Final Four, with it being in the home state of Texas, and they're having the home, they're going to have the support, I would imagine. That even puts more pressure on them.
That's a good point. I didn't consider that the home. I mean, I think it was last year or 2 years ago. I forget exactly, because maybe 2 years ago it was in Houston, and there's a lot of storylines about that. So now San Antonio, again, I get still big state, but same state. I get the pressure. That's a good point. I did not think about the state of where the Final Four is having implications. That's a good point by you.
And secondly, as far as my double-digit upset, Michael kind of stole my thunder because I'm big on Drake. I think Drake could possibly go to the Elite 8. They're that good. But here's one for you. Look at the Rams from Colorado State against Memphis. Colorado State is on a 10-game winning streak. They've won since the 2025 came about. They're 17-3 with those 3 losses against possible tournament team in San Diego State.
Mm-hmm.
Utah State tourney team also got them, and New Mexico got them. So the 3 losses are to
tournament teams.
Right. They have a young man named Nikkei Clifford who averages 20 points a game, 10 rebounds. He is just flat, can play. And Boise can thank them because I believe Boise not being in the field is thanks to Colorado State owning them the last month of the season.
That's fair points, Chris. That's a good. I really appreciate the call. Yeah, no, I appreciate it. And also, too, Memphis is one of the best players is hurt and doesn't look like he's going to play, at least in round number 1, which could be, again, a boost and a boon there for Colorado State. I like that. Look at that. That good research, 17-3 since the calendar flipped to 2025, 10-game win streak. They have been hot. Hot teams you do got to like here. They are Colorado State, a 10 seed. Let's see, taking on Memphis, Colorado State's a 12 seed. Taking on Memphis, a 5 seed there, out west in the West region where Florida's the number 1 seed. All right, Chris in Alabama going Colorado State here as a team that could pull off the round 1 upset as a 12. 855-212-4227. 855-212-4227. The double-digit seed you believe that you have the most confidence in pulling off a round 1 upset is who? Make your case, and you could win. You're a few bucks here on the show. Winner, and at least in terms of the team and the caller that we are going to back here, will be revealed 1:40 a.m. Eastern. If you can't listen till then, check out the Hick at Nite podcast feed. Nite spelled N-I-T-E, available wherever you get your pods. Or check us out on YouTube. We're streaming live right now on the Infinity Sports Network YouTube page, but then it will be living on the page after the show ends. Go to 140, listen to see if you have been picked, and we'll try to win some money. Coming up next, the coach I trust most in March.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome in to the Hick At Nite Show. Here's Ryan Hickey.
This Sunday just got a whole hell of a lot busier and more chaotic than it already was. It's Ryan Hickey, Infinity Sports Network. The show is Hick At Nite. Thank you for joining us here on this Sunday evening. The brackets are revealed. We'll break down more of the Final Four analysis. We'll get back more into the double-digit upsets. But we have some breaking NFL news we have to get to immediately. This is reporting by Jordan Schultz of Fox Sports. He just tweeted seconds ago, the Bengals have agreed to brand new contract extensions for both Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. Jamar Chase's deal he got from the Bengals, a 4-year, $161 million extension. $112 million of the $161 guaranteed. Jamar Chase now is the highest paid non-quarterback in NFL history. His tag team brother, T. Higgins, 4-year extension, $115 million, first 2 years guaranteed. Schultz is reporting T. Higgins now becomes the highest paid wide receiver 2 in NFL history. So now, both receivers in Cincinnati, Chase, Higgins, extended for the long term and are going nowhere. Again, Jamar Chase, 4 years, $161 million. That averages out to a per year value of $40.25 million per season. He is now the highest paid non-quarterback in NFL history. T. Higgins, 4 years, $115 million extension. He averages out at $28.75 million per season. That is the highest amount of money for a wide receiver 2 in NFL history. So Chase gets paid, Higgins gets paid. Let's react to this big news right now because this was one of the biggest questions this offseason. What the hell was Cincinnati going to do with their receivers and a lot of big-time players that want to get extensions? I think this is the wrong move. I think it's the right move to lock up Jamar Chase. Right? That's a no-brainer. You obviously have to pay him. But why the Bengals are also deciding to pay T. Higgins to me makes no sense. Paying both receivers a combined average to round up here of $70 million per year is not how the Bengals get back to the playoffs. That's not how the Bengals get back to a Super Bowl contender. They just were 2 years ago. They were in a Super Bowl 3 years ago, 2021. But now that looks and continues to get further and further away because I think they're putting bad money in spots that don't need to, you don't have to put resource allocation, or that much, I should say, at a position that's easily the most replaceable in all the NFL. Right? It is the wide receiver is the easiest position in order for you to replace. There are tons of great receivers out there, especially in the draft. You can draft a guy like, by the way, they did with T. Higgins in round number 2 and develop him to becoming one of the best receivers in the league. Look around the league. Look at all of the best receivers. Outside of Jamar Chase, they're all second-round picks, third-round picks, fourth-round picks, third, fourth, fifth receiver taken in their draft class. You don't need to have a top 5 pick in order to get and draft one of the best receivers in the draft and have him become one of the best receivers in the league. It is easier than ever to move off of a receiver that's looking to get paid and replace him with a cheaper option and expect similar production than any other position in sports, or at least in the NFL, I should say. And so why the Bengals are deciding the best move for them is to put almost $70 million per year towards 2 receivers makes no sense. Go back to last year when the Bengals missed the playoffs. Did the Bengals miss the playoffs because their passing offense sucked? They were number 1 in passing offense. They were the number 1 passing team in all of the NFL last year, and it still resulted in them missing the playoffs. Why? Why did they make the playoffs last year? Because their offensive line stunk and the defense couldn't get a stop. They had one of the worst defenses in the league, and the O-line could not protect Joe Burrow. How you make those weaknesses better is by investing money, draft capital, resources into those positions that are not as easy to replace. Like you see right now, Trey Hendrickson has a trade request out. And the Bengals, at least at the moment, are allowing him to talk with other teams and trying to find a deal to get done. Why on earth would you allow a guy in Trey Hendrickson, who led the league in sacks last year, who leads the league in terms of combined sacks the last 2 years, why would you allow him to leave your team this year? Why would you do that? You need a guy who consistently produces game in and game out. You need a guy that can consistently get after the quarterback. You can't make your defense worse. I get you fire Lou Anarumo, so you want to change the defensive scheme and you want to change the guy who's bringing ideas. I get it. But how then also does losing your best and most consistent defensive player who consistently produces and also does not get hurt, he's out there every game playing, how is trading him away and paying 2 receivers the plan for the Bengals to get back to Super Bowl contention? How is that the right plan to go toe-to-toe and take down Kansas City, beat the Bills, take down the Ravens? How does that make sense? It doesn't. I think the Bengals, they're very cheap. They don't spend a lot of money. I think they're using the little money they have to spend in the wrong areas. Receivers, not where you should be putting a majority of your resources. It should be to your defense that desperately needs defensive line help, linebacker help, secondary help. And especially now, if you trade Trey Hendrickson, you're going to need even more defensive line help than you already have, or than you already need, I should say. You don't have anyone on the other end of Trey Hendrickson that can get after the quarterback. Now, if you trade him, you got nobody. You got nobody that can get after the quarterback. So you fire Lou Anarumo. If you're also then going to get rid of Hendrickson, how do you expect this Bengals defense to get better if they can't get after the quarterback? If the opposing QB has all the time in the world to sit back there and pick apart the defense because nobody's in his face. I don't care how good the secondary is. I don't care what you're doing scheme-wise. You can't expect to have success defensively and be better if you can't get after the quarterback. Al Golden did a great job in Notre Dame as their DC. He now comes over and is the Bengals' new defensive coordinator. I don't care what schemes Al Golden has. If you got no pass rush, if you got no one that can get after the quarterback, you got no chance. So instead of paying Trey Hendrickson, instead of worrying about extending him at a premier position of defensive end, you are now putting money towards T. Higgins as a wide receiver 2 that you could replace easier than you will be able to replace Trey Hendrickson. How does that make sense? Someone explain it to me. Someone explain to me why I should be optimistic about the Bengals signing 2 receivers to mega deals and putting $70 million towards one position as the offensive line and the defensive line, and really the entire defense, continues to get ignored when they are drastic needs for Cincinnati. I hate this. Look, the Jamar Chase, no problem. They should have got it done earlier. They could have saved $5 million a year by paying him this time last year at about $35 million. They waited. Now they pay just over $40 million. Either way, that's a guy you do not let go. Top 5 receiver. He led the NFL last year in catches, yards, touchdowns. That's a guy you pay no matter what. I have no problem with that deal. $40 million a year for Jamar Chase to me is worth it. $161 million over 4 years. That's what Jamar Chase got. You cannot, though, sell me that signing T. Higgins is the right move, is the right play for the future of this franchise. How does that make the most sense? How is that the move that gets the Bengals closer to the Super Bowl? I don't see it. I don't get how this makes sense. The Bengals need help in so many different places. I think trading T. Higgins, who I think would have had a strong trade market. You could have got maybe a second-round pick back. Use that second-round pick to draft a receiver. Use your first-round pick to basically pick the best player available, whether it's the offensive line, whether it's the defensive line, whether it's the secondary, whatever it may be, and build out your defense. Save yourself cap space. The Bengals are 15th in terms of cap space in the NFL, so it's not like they have, unlimited amount of cap space and moves to make here. Save your cap space for putting it towards areas you actually need. Not just overloading one position that you could consider wide receiver 2 to be a luxury, not a necessity. 855-212-4227. 855-212-4227. That's the number to call if you want to react to the news that we just got here from Jordan Schultz less than 15 minutes ago. The Cincinnati Bengals have decided to lock up Jamar Chase and T. Higgins to long-term deals. Jamar Chase, if you're just tuning in, signed a 4-year, $161 million extension. 112 of that is guaranteed. He now becomes the highest paid non-quarterback in NFL history as he averages $40.25 million per year. T. Higgins, his deal, 4 years, $115 million. First 2 years of that contract is fully guaranteed. He's on average getting $28.75 million. So the Bengals now, combined with Higgins and Jamar Chase, are paying their wide receivers, or their top 2 wide receivers, I should say, $69 million per season. Is that what's getting Cincinnati back to Super Bowl contention? Is that the right move for the Bengals here and locking up number 1 and number 5 to long-term deals? 855-212-4227. 855-212-4227. I know the line's pretty busy here because we got a lot of upset picks as well. So if you can't get through, no worries. Shoot me a tweet, Ryan_Hickey3, or go to the YouTube chat, which can be found on the Infinity Sports Network YouTube page to watch the show live, number 1. And then also number 2 here, get your voice heard on if you agree with the Bengals' decision to pay their top 2 receivers mega money. 855-212-4227. We'll continue to react to that breaking news here as it does happen. We'll also get your thoughts here as we are doing a little bit of a fun thing here. So next week, right, starts March Madness. So I wanted to kind of be able to do something here. We can get the show involved outside of just the 4 hours I'm on the air every single Sunday. So here's what I've thought of. We're going to do this. I'm going to put $50 down of my own money. I'm not asking you for a dime here. I'm putting $50 down of my own money on the double-digit seed that you believe can pull off a round 1 upset. You tell me the team and you make the strongest case as to why I should believe in your pick. I'll put my money down on the pick. We'll make a decision here, end of the show. If I put the money down because of you and your pick and it hits, we split the money 50-50. So I won't be here next week, but I will be here in 2 weeks from now. call back. We'll get your contact info. We'll figure something out here how to transfer over the money. $50, whatever wins, we'll split it both ways, and you make a nice little coin there on your upset pick. If it loses, I get the $50, nothing from you. So it's a no-risk bet here. But you got to sell it. We're talking stats, we're talking numbers, we're talking trends, style of play, whatever it may be. Which double-digit seed right now do you think can pull off an upset in round number 1? Which one are you most confident in? Best case, we'll get the money down. We'll see if we can make a few bucks here in round number 1. 855-212-4227. Let's go to Nick in Minnesota. What's up, Nick? Hello, Nick.
Can you hear me?
Now, loud and clear, buddy. What's on your mind?
My mind is on Utah State beating UCLA.
Ooh, 7-10 there. Why?
Because UCLA lost to the Gophers, and it has not been okay to lose to the Gophers since Bobby Jackson played there.
You know what I don't like about UCLA, Nick? I think Mick Cronin to me comes off as a whiner. I've seen a lot of his post-game press conferences go viral, whether it's about coaching, whether it's about kids these days, whether it's about the travel, the Big Ten schedule, and the grind they have versus, the luxury that it is for all these East Coast teams to go west. He comes off to me as a big complainer. And I don't know. I don't think that fares well come tournament time if you're kind of someone, and appreciate the call, Nick, who kind of sits there and points a finger as to why, well, this is the problem, and that's the problem, and that's the problem. We're in an... Look, college football is far from perfect. I totally understand that. I'm not sitting here and saying that everything's built here, to perfection. It's not the Wild West. It is. But the guys that win the most, the teams and the coaches that have the most success are the ones that just say, okay, this is what the situation is, how to make the best of it. It's less complaining, more, okay, how can we make this work to our advantage? That's why I love Rick Pitino. He's an old school guy, but he also has the mindset of, this is what it is. How can we make this work to our advantage? The portal is a Wild West. NIL, okay, well, what can we do to make sure our guys are coming here and staying here? Old school guy, but has brought new school principles and a new school philosophy to manage what is right now the current state of college basketball. Complaining gets you nowhere. I give Rick Pitino a lot of credit, and for me, Mick Cronin comes off as a big baby, for being honest here. 855-212-4227. All right, we just told you. T. Higgins, massive extension. Jamar Chase, massive extension. They each become, I guess, in their respective slot, wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2. Highest paid at their position. Jamar Chase becomes the highest paid non-QB in NFL history. T. Higgins becomes the highest paid wide receiver 2 in NFL history. I think this is a bad move. Do you think this was the right move here for the Bengals to lock up? I think this is the right move. I'm sorry. Let me specify. Right move by the Bengals to lock up Jamar Chase. Wrong move to lock up T. Higgins. They made a mistake in extending T because that means I think they're going to have to trade Trey Hendrickson. They're not going to have enough money to go around for everybody. Trey's going to be the odd man out here. And that to me is a mistake when you look at how bad this defense was for Cincinnati, how much help they need. I don't think allocating resources towards the offense is right now the right move. John in Boston has some thoughts on that move. What's up, John?
Thanks for taking my call. First of all, Trey Hendrickson is not the guy you think he is, man. I had him in fantasy myself. He scored over 21 twice. And the Bengals, and I don't have a dog in the fight, man. I'm a New England fan.
John. Hold on. John. You're saying you had Trey Hendrickson in fantasy? You select individual defensive players?
Yes, in my fantasy league, I actually won it. No thanks to Trey, I actually won it. The guy scored over 21 twice, man. He was a big disappointment. Now, I'm not going to directly relate that to his play on the field, but he's not a top tier guy. And
do you know? Just random trivia here, really fast. John, give me a second here. Random trivia, really fast here. Do you know who led the NFL in sacks this year? Do you know who that is?
Trey, man. It was like...
Do you know who leads the NFL in sacks the last 2 years?
I'm telling you, man. He had like 3/4 in that in like 4 games, man. Other than that, he barely showed up. Barely. But
his pressure rate was top 3 in the league, John. Because he didn't produce on your fantasy doesn't mean that this guy was not disrupting quarterbacks week in and week out.
All right, a little recent trivia. Pat Mahomes is the guy. What did Philly score on them guys, man? You got to score to win. I know defense, used to win. You got to score. This is the Bengals. best chance.
Why did Patrick Mahomes and the offense not do anything in that game, John? Why?
Well, the front line of the Philly defense.
Because the Philly defense! The defense! The defense was the biggest thing in that game. What are you talking about? Offense wins. John, the Bengals had the number one scoring offense in the league. They had the number one passer, number one receiver.
If you can put up points, you're going to win. If you can put up points,
you're going to win. They put up points and didn't win, John. The Bengals put up points all season long and did not win.
No, you got it. I also had Burrow. He did very well for me, man.
Oh, my God. You're arguing against your own points you're making. You're now arguing against. Everything you just said, offense wins. The Bengals had offense. They didn't win.
I just want to push back a little against the trade thing. And, yeah, what else can they do, man? You got the two big boys, and you hope you hit in the draft maybe. You got to have some type of luck to get this done, man. They're not going to spend money, but, yeah, I think the Bengals did the right thing. Don't have a dog in the fight. I'm a New England fan. I hope the guys we got from Philly, man, does as well, and we can be, talked about again, man.
John, I appreciate the call, man. Number one, to have a fantasy league where you draft defensive players, God bless you. That's a lot of research. Good luck for you. But to crap on the guy because he didn't give you enough points for what you're looking for. Guy, number one in sacks, number 3 in pressure rate. He plays every game. I don't know what more you want from him. He may not get you the fantasy numbers you're looking for, but if you're the Bengals, good luck trying to replace that guy on your defensive line and getting consistent pressure. Nobody else on Cincinnati got pressure. Nobody. I lied, by the way. My apology. Just to get this right. The Bengals were the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They were the 6th highest scoring offense in the league. They averaged 27.8 points per game. Look at everyone above them. Just really faster in terms of the 5 teams that scored more points per game than Cincinnati. Detroit, Buffalo, Baltimore. I don't know why I'm doing that by the city. Lions, Bills, Ravens, Buccaneers, Commanders. All 5 of those teams, playoff teams. Behind the Bengals, by the way, Eagles, Packers, Vikings, Broncos, Chargers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 10 of the 11 top scoring teams in the league made the playoffs. The one exception is the Bengals. Scoring is not the problem for them. It is not the area they need to worry about. It is the defense. The defense. That's what they need improving. You're not going to improve the defense when you are paying your 2 receivers a combined $69 million per year. It's not happening. That, to me, is why the Bengals, I think, dropped the ball and made the wrong move in extending T. Higgins. No problem with Chase. You should have traded T and try to use that money, that almost $30 million a year that you're not going to pay T. Higgins, use that to try to pay Trey Hendrickson instead of trading the only guy in your roster that got after the quarterback the last few years. That, to me, makes no sense. 855-212-4227. 855-212-4227. We'll continue to get your thoughts here. We'll continue to react to this breaking news of the Bengals extending both T. Higgins and also extending Jamar Chase as well. When we return here on the show, it's Ryan Hickey with right here on the Infinity Sports Network. We'll tell you the team that should be the happiest that they have seen this news come down of the Bengals extending their top 2 receivers. One team is licking their lips, clapping their hands, fired up, because this should mean they're a little bit closer to getting to Trey Hendrickson. I'll tell you who that team is when we do return. It is Ryan Hickey right here on the Infinity Sports Network.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 4 minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
This is Hick at Night.
I just want to first say that you guys always entertain me. I'm a bartender. I always drive home at night. I love you guys. You always entertain.
Here's your host, Ryan Hickey.
Let me tell you, two people right now jumping around, or jumping on it, I guess I should say. Let me get the song right. Jumping on it on this Sunday night. Jamar Chase, T. Higgins. In case you were just tuning in, number one, welcome to the show. Thank you for making us a part of your evening. Number two, It has just come down here a few minutes ago from Jordan Schultz of Fox Sports. The Bengals have agreed on massive extensions for both wide receivers. Jamar Chase gets a 4-year, $161 million extension. At $40.25 million per season, Jamar Chase is now the highest paid non-quarterback in NFL history. T. Higgins gets a 4-year, $115 million extension. He now becomes the highest paid wide receiver 2 in NFL history. So we got record-breaking numbers here by the Bengals in paying 2 receivers top dollar. They are now allocating $69 million per year to 2 wide receivers. On top of Joe Burrow, they are now allocating $125 million per season. $125 million per season. Think about that. To Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins. It's almost half the cap to 3 guys. Now, high-level players. But the thing is, for the Bengals, why they missed the playoffs last year was not because their offense stunk. Their defense stunk. I don't see how doubling and tripling down, putting all your resources into the passing offense buckets, get you to the playoffs and makes you a Super Bowl contending team again in 2025. Again, the defense is the problem. But now you see this move made. I think if you're the Buffalo Bills, you are licking your lips. You're saying, oh, yes, just what we wanted. When you see these numbers now for Chase, for Higgins, and even for, factoring in Burrow as well, there's no way they're going to be able to retain Trey Hendrickson. That's why Hendrickson, who's entering the last year of his deal, requested a trade. That's why the Bengals have obliged and at least are allowing him to talk with other teams about trying to see what trade package they could get back. And I think if you're the Bills, who desperately need a pass rusher, who have the draft capital to give Cincinnati, and who have the need as well, I don't care about the Joey Bosa signing. The Joey Bosa signing is low risk, high reward. You're trying to, buy low on a guy that has been injury prone his entire career and hope that he can stay healthy. He is not enough if you're the Bills to get over the hump here to take down the Chiefs and go to the Super Bowl and win the Super Bowl. You need a true game wrecker who is consistent. That guy is Trey Hendrickson. And this move here by Cincinnati only makes it more likely that the Bengals will move on from their all-pro edge rusher. That should be news to the ears of Brandon Beane, Sean McDermott, and Bills fans everywhere. That's the team that has to get the Hendrickson deal done. They need Trey in Buffalo this offseason. I think this signings, of Chase and Higgins only makes it now more likely that you will see Cincinnati part ways with Trey Hendrickson. But going back to the initial thought here, as we react to this incident, this broke within the last half hour or so, I keep on coming back to how does paying $69 million to 2 receivers get you closer to the playoffs? I want to play this from Duke Tobin, who said these words you're about to hear literally 3 weeks ago at the NFL Combine. Duke Tobin was asked what went wrong with last year's season. Take a listen to what the Bengals GM had to say.
We know our defense wasn't good enough. It couldn't get stops when we needed it, couldn't protect leads, it didn't get off the field. And then, in critical moments when the game was on the line, it didn't rise to the occasion. 4th and 16 against Kansas City. That's one play. We win one game. Now we're in the playoffs. But that's countless games throughout the year, whether it's our offense converting a first down to run the clock out to win the game, whether it's our special teams converting a field goal to win the game, but multiple times, a fumble going into the end zone, all the things that happened. It was a crazy year. We're a championship level team that didn't get an opportunity, and that irritates us.
What are you talking about? A championship level team. The defense sucked. The defense was one of the worst in the league last year. What championship level team has a crappy defense? No, the answer is none. None. The Eagles had the number 1 defense in the league last year. Guess what helped them win the Super Bowl? Their defense. Duke Tobin just spent 40 seconds outlining how the defense was the problem, how they couldn't get stops, couldn't hold leads, and what does he do? Doubles and triples down in the receiver room. How does this make any sense? This is mind-boggling. How you can sit there and say the defense was the problem. We couldn't hold stops, couldn't get the hell off the field, but now we're going to sit here and pay a wide receiver 2 record money. How can you truly justify paying T. Higgins and letting Trey Hendrickson walk out the door when you were telling the media at the Combine 3 weeks ago that the defense was the problem as to why you couldn't be a championship level team and get to the playoffs? You can't make it up. They're doubling down on an area that was elite last year. But even though they were elite, it wasn't enough for them to get to the playoffs. Why would you ignore the areas that dragged your team down and prevented you from making the playoffs and reward an area that is a luxury? You don't have to have a great wide receiver 2 to make and win a Super Bowl. You do not. You're better off spending that $30 million for the rest of the team. Get an O-line. Get a defensive line. Get some linebackers. Get some secondary help. You need it. Why you are sitting here ignoring those problem areas and only focusing on a wide receiver 2 is beyond me. $69 million to 2 wide receivers is a bad use of money. It can't be justified when you have so many holes around the rest of the roster that need to be addressed that are the reasons why you're not reaching your full potential. That are the reasons your quarterback, who if they had a better record, probably could have won MVP, in Joe Burrow, is instead at home in January because his defense, as you just outlined, can't get a stop. Make it make sense. My mind, 855-212-4227. If you can defend the Bengals, if you can explain to me why paying both Jamar Chase and T. Higgins while most likely allowing Trey Hendrickson, the NFL's leading sack man in 2024, while allowing him to walk out the door, 855-212-4227. You can sell me as to why that is the right move for the future of the Bengals. 855-212-4227, Ryan_Hickey3 on Twitter. And also you could write in the YouTube chat that can be found on the Infinity Sports Network YouTube page. Can you defend the Bengals? Is the Bengals paying both Jamar Chase and T. Higgins record money the best thing for their future? 855-212-4227, 855-212-4227. We'll continue to react to and give you the latest here in that breaking news as the Bengals pay their top 2 wideouts. We'll also get back to basketball here, and I'll tell you the coach that I am believing in the most come tournament time as well. It's Ryan Hickey right here on the Infinity Sports Network. We'll get to your thoughts here and do that after we get this latest sports update from Peter Schwartz.
Infinity Sports Network Sports Flash.
This report sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Your small business keeps you on the go. Progressive Commercial Insurance keeps your policy within reach with our easy-to-use mobile app. Learn more at progressivecommercial.com. We tip off with Selection Sunday. Auburn, the number 1 overall seed for the first time in school history. They're the South region of the Big Dance. They'll face the winner of the first 4 matchup between Alabama State and St. Francis. Duke, number 1 in the East. They'll play the winner of the first 4 game between American and Mount St. Mary's. Houston, number 1 in the Midwest. They'll play SIU Evansville. Florida, number 1 in the West. They will play Norfolk State. Also in the first 4, it's North Carolina against San Diego State, Xavier against Texas. In the women's tournament, UCLA, number 1 overall. The other number 1 seed, South Carolina, USC, and Texas. In the NFL, the Bengals reportedly agreed to terms with wide receivers Jamar Chase and T. Higgins on massive contract extensions. Chase reportedly gets a 4-year, $116 million deal, including $112 million guaranteed. Higgins gets a 4-year deal reportedly worth $115 million with the first 2 years guaranteed. Now to the NBA. We'll start in Portland, where the Blazers were clinging to a 3-point lead over the Raptors in the final seconds.
105-102. This time from the near side, Castleton looks to get it in over Chris Murray. Gets it into an open Robinson. Blocked from behind by Matisse Thybulle. Grabs the ball. It's a Rip City winner. Welcome back, Matisse.
Travis Demers on Blazers Radio. Blazers over the Raptors 105-102. Anthony Simons, 22 points. Elsewhere, the Magic over the Cavaliers 108-103, ending Cleveland's 16-game winning streak. 76ers beat the Mavericks 131-25. Lakers 107, Suns 96. Nets over the Hawks 122-114. The fourth quarter, it's the Thunder on top of the Bucks 111-95. The Clippers beat the Hornets 123-88. T-Wolves over the Jazz 128-102. I'm Peter Schwartz.
This is the Infinity Sports Network. Follow us on Instagram. Our handle is Infinity Sports Network. That's Infinity Sports Network to follow us on Instagram.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Is Hick at Nite.
Hey, Ryan, how's it going, man? I always love your show. When I hear you, I got to pull over, man, because you just spitting out some crazy facts, man. Just love your work, sir.
Here's Ryan Hickey.
We have an update to the Bengals spending spree that they are on. So in case you were just tuning in and learning for the first time, the Bengals have given massive extensions, according to Jordan Schultz of Fox Sports, to both Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. Jamar Chase gets 4 years, $161 million. That's an average of $40.25 million per year. That is the highest for a non-quarterback in NFL history. So Jamar Chase resets a record thing we all anticipated was going to happen. T. Higgins gets a 4-year, $115 million extension. That's about $28.75 million per season. He is the highest paid wide receiver, too, in NFL history. This from Tom Pelissero of NFL Network. The Bengals are trying to work out a deal with Trey Hendrickson. The sides have been in contact recently. So the Bengals, right, have already paid Joe Burrow, made him one of the highest paid quarterbacks in NFL history. They have just paid and made Chase the highest paid wide receiver in NFL history. They have just paid T. Higgins, made him the highest paid wide receiver 2 in NFL history. Now they're looking to also get an extension done with Trey Hendrickson, who has 1 year left on his deal and is asked to be traded from the Bengals if he does not receive a new contract. That is the goal. Again, even if they are able to get a contract done with Trey Hendrickson, you're bringing back basically the same team from last year that's more expensive. Right? That's exactly what you're doing. How is that getting you to the playoffs? If it wasn't good enough last year and you're not improving and all you're doing is just changing your defensive coordinator, going from one guy in Lou Anarumo to another, and Al Golden, just give him respect and credit. How are you improving? To me, that makes no sense. No sense whatsoever. You can defend what the Bengals did in paying both receivers. I have no problem with paying Chase. You can defend the paying both receivers, 855-212-4227. We'll get your thoughts here in 1 second, your upset specials, but at least back to college basketball here for a second to kind of go back and forth. The coach I trust the most is Rick Pitino in this tournament. I think there's a lot of attention paid on teams, and rightfully so, and players. But I think coaches have a huge impact around this time of the year because you see the ability for coaches to scheme and have their players ready to play and playing hard and not be worried and distracted by the outside noise. Rick Pitino is going to have his boys at St. John's ready to play. And look at the turnaround. He's there in year 2 of St. John's. St. John's goes and wins the Big East tournament for the first time since 2000. They win the regular season Big East championship for the first time outright since 1985. We are seeing things from St. John's that haven't happened to that university in 40 years, and Rick Pitino did it in just 2 years. Comes right in, and they are now automatic winners. He's done it everywhere he's been. 7 Final Fours, taking 6 teams to the tournament, most by a college basketball coach ever. There's no better basketball coach right now in this tournament than Rick Pitino. There's not. Not Dan Hurling, not Tom Izzo. There is no coach I trust this tournament than Rick Pitino with how hard those guys play, how attention and focused they are. Attention to detail is what I was trying to say before. This team is legit. St. John's, I think, is making a Final Four run, in large part because of Rick Pitino and his coaching prowess. The dude is legit. He's a flat-out winner. I think you'll see that here over the next few weeks in the NCAA tournament. There's no coach right now I trust more than Slick Rick at St. John's. 855-212-4227, 855-212-4227. We also are taking your upset picks here. In case you're just tuning in, we're having a little fun here. I am putting $50 out of my own money on the double-digit seed that you can convince me will pull off a round 1 upset. We're picking one team, one caller. The caller that makes the best case as to why their pick will come true, that's a team I pick. If that upset wins, we split the profits 50-50. If that upset pick loses, well, I'm out $50. You lose nothing. So it's a risk-free, no sweat bet here. You get the winnings, no consequences for picking the wrong pick. But you just got to convince me as to which double-digit seed will pull off just one upset here in round number 1. 855-212-4227. John is calling from Maryland. What's up, John?
Hey, how you doing, Ryan?
Good, buddy. What's on your mind, man?
Nothing much. Just Yale. Yale is my pick against Texas A&M. Big reason.
Wow. Okay, let's hear it.
The big reason is I don't think Texas A&M. Yeah, they're in the SEC. They had a very good conference this year. They shouldn't be ranked that high. Just looking at the stats from both teams, Yale has 4 of their 5 starters can shoot the 3 over 40%. I'm sorry, over 35%. And the Aggies only have 1 starter that can shoot it even over 30%. The team field goal percentage for Yale is almost 50% amongst the team just themselves, and the Aggies are only 40%. So it seems to me that their overall, and I watched the Ivy League tournament over the weekend, and they were just their whole makeup.
All right,
seems to be a lot better than what they were placed on from compared to the Aggies.
All right, I like it, John. Aggies the 4 seed, Yale the 13 seed. Appreciate it. Noted. You are in the mix here. 855-212-4227. End of the show. We're picking one winner here. Stay tuned if you can't. Hick At Nite podcast. Night spelled N-I-T-E. That's where you can listen and see if your team, your pick was selected. Also, if you want to watch the show on YouTube, go to the end of the show. Scroll as it will live on the YouTube page after the show ends to listen to see who gets picked. Kent is in Maine. What's up, Kent?
Hey, how's it going tonight?
What's up, buddy? What's on your mind, man?
Hey, I just wanted to kind of put in my 2 cents about both the Trey Henderson situation as well as kind of the upset.
Sure, let's do upset pick first here, just in case you run out of time. Who's the upset pick?
Okay, so I actually have both either San Diego State or North Carolina upsetting Ole Miss, depending on who wins the play-in.
Okay.
I don't know if that's cheating or not, but
that's fair.
I'm expecting both of them to kind of step up in the first round of whoever wins. I think North Carolina kind of showed in the last game they had against Duke in the ACC tournament kind of where their season's been. I think they showed that they can play against the best teams. They just need to get out of their own heads and stop making mistakes. I obviously think they would have.
That was an ending I've never seen before, Kent.
Yeah, and that's the thing. That's what I think their season summed up, and I'm hoping that they can kind of turn that around in the tournament. I do think that North Carolina in the second half of the season has played a lot better, and I also think that SEC is going to kind of have a situation where I think it was the Big Ten last year, where there were so many teams from one conference that were kind of playing against each other and kind of wearing each other out when it came tournament time. There were too many of them in there, and we started having too many teams from that conference losing quite early. And I think North Carolina could take advantage of maybe the wear and tear of the SEC conference.
I like Kent. That's a great point. I got to run here because you're up against it. I thank you for the upset call here. That's actually a point I want to bring up a little bit later on in the show. I think you're onto something here about the toughness of the SEC that I'm very curious to see if that does impact the tournament. All right, we'll continue to take your thoughts here. We're going to reset both the Bengals news and also the bracket being released. We'll do that when we do return. It is Ryan Hickey right here on the Infinity Sports Network.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. 1 minute remaining. "45 seconds remaining. "30 seconds remaining. "15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Looking for a man after midnight? You've come to the right place. It's Hick at Night with Ryan Hickey.
And welcome on into Hick at Night. Ryan Hickey with you right here on the Infinity Sports Network. Thank you for making us a part of your Sunday. A very busy, hectic, chaotic Sunday here in the world of sports. Well, also St. Patrick's Day weekend. Add that on top of it. A very happy St. Patrick's Day to those Irish folks out there. And on day like today, everyone is Irish. That is for sure. Enjoy it safely, of course. We got so much news to break down here. The bracket has been released. We can make our picks here. We'll break down some seeds, some paths here. I'll give you my final 4 picks in a second as well. We also got some breaking news. Bengals have given Jamar Chase a contract extension, make him the highest paid non-quarterback in NFL history. They also give T. Higgins a contract extension, make him the highest paid wide receiver 2 in NFL history. And now, according to Tom Pelissero, are also looking to get a deal done with Trey Hendrickson. So they're trying to pay their big-time premium players this offseason. They've got 2 done, looking to get a 3rd done here as well. We'll break all of that down. We'll get your thoughts. We got Mike LaTulip, former Illini guard, does a great job covering the sport of college basketball for the Field of 68. He's going to join us here in about 15 minutes or so, maybe 20 minutes, to give us his initial reactions to the bracket, give us some upset picks, Final Four picks, national championship pick. We'll cover, I should say, a lot here with Mike in about 20 minutes or so. So don't go anywhere. That conversation is coming up soon here. So to give you at least my Final Four picks, now that we have the bracket out here, I think when you look at the tournament, you see a lot of chaos in weekend number 1. 14/3, 5 over, or 12/5, I should say. A lot of chaos happens early on. But then I think as the tournament gets deeper, you start to see the best teams win. So my Final Four pick is pretty chalky. I think we have Auburn, St. John's, Bama, Houston. I think we've seen a lot of the best teams really separate themselves. I think there was a gap between the top 8, 9 teams and everybody else in college basketball. So I don't think we're going to see a lot of 1-16, not that that happens often anyway, or 2-15 upsets here in the first round. And I think you're going to see as the tournament goes on, these best teams really show themselves. I think Auburn, after getting upset by Yale last year in round number 1, bounces back and has a deep tournament run. They got the Player of the Year finalist in Janai Broome. They are really well coached by Bruce Pearl. They are the number 1 offensive efficiency team in the country, 13th defensively, so they got a bunch of ways to beat you. They are super veteran-laden, bunch of seniors on that team. 6 of the top 7 scorers for Auburn are seniors, so they have a lot of experience. They've been there before. They just won the regular season SEC title, a conference, by the way, that sent 14 teams out of 16 to the dance. That is a record. They won the regular season. Super impressive. So they've dominated the best conference in college basketball, have one of the best players in college basketball on their roster. They're balanced, though. They can score from anywhere. They guard you really well. They have a really good coach. I think Auburn is making a run here. I think they beat Michigan State in the Elite Eight. They make a Final Four run. I think they get to the national title game. Now, my national championship pick, they make it, though, to the game itself on that Monday night in San Antonio. They are legit. St. John's, I think, is right in that category as well. St. John's, man, they are extremely tough, both physically and mentally. And you have to be, I think, come tournament time. There's so many distractions and attention and lights on you. You have to not only be physically tough to impose your will, but mentally tough to block out the distractions, block out if teams are going on a run or you all of a sudden now you feel momentum shifting. A lot of teams cave, not St. John's. They are very well coached. I think they have the best coach in the tournament, coaching them up in Rick Pitino. They have the biggest player of the year in R.J. Lewis. Kadar Richmond was one of the most impactful transfers we saw happen last offseason. This team is deep. They do a lot of the small things really well. Their biggest weakness is three-point shooting, but that's improved as the year has gone on. I think St. John's, in a very tough bracket, by the way. They're in the West, where you have Florida there as the 1. You got Texas Tech as a 3, Maryland as a 4. That's a brutal bracket. Brutal. I think that the Johnnies come out of it there. They are the 1 representing the West in the Final Four because their toughness shines through. I think Bama makes their second straight Final Four. I like the three-point shooting that they still have this year. They're another veteran-laden team with a really good head coach in NATO, which you're starting to see a theme here. Veteran teams, great head coaches. Auburn, St. John's, Alabama, check those boxes. And my 4th Final Four team, Houston. They're very similar, especially to St. John's, where they are tough, man. Like they can play games that are rock fights. They can outscore you as well. They have some great veteran leaders and scorers in LJ Cryer, Emmanuel Sharp. Kelvin Sampson, to me, is a winner. Good head coach. And I think the biggest thing that's hurt Houston the last few years here has been health. Last year, the best player, Jamal Shed, against Duke in the Sweet 16, got hurt. Ankle injury, basically missed the second half in a very close back-and-forth game. Houston, going into the tournament, is healthy. That is massive for them here. I think they win it all. They, to me, are a national champion pick. I think Houston gets it done. They win it all. But Houston, Alabama, Auburn, St. John's. My Final Four picks here. 855-212-4227. 855-212-4227. To touch on the other big news of the day, it is Ryan Hickey with right here on the Infinity Sports Network. The other big news of the day that we just learned about an hour or so ago. The Bengals have reached historic deals with both of their wide receivers, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins. Jamar Chase, according to Jordan Schultz of Fox Sports, 4 years, $161 million extension. He now is making an average $40.25 million per year, highest paid non-quarterback in NFL history. T. Higgins, 4 years, $115 million extension. He's getting about $28.75 million per year, highest for a wide receiver 2 in NFL history. And according to Tom Pelissero of the NFL Network, now that those big deals are done, the Bengals are turning their attention to Trey Hendrickson, who has requested a trade, leading NFL sack man from 2024, to try to get him done. So they already got Joe Burrow's deal done, right? One of the highest paid quarterbacks. They got both receivers done, and now they're trying to get Trey Hendrickson's deal done. Even if the Bengals get Trey Hendrickson done, and they sign him and now add him to Higgins, to Chase, to Burrow, and you have 4 of the best players in the league all under, contract for the Bengals, I don't think this helps Cincinnati. I still think Cincinnati is right now is in a bad spot and not a playoff team in 2025 because we saw those guys play at elite levels last year and they still missed the playoffs. So if you're going to pay Chase, Higgins, Hendrickson record-breaking or close to it money, that means every other position on the roster, you're not going to be able to upgrade. The Bengals need upgrades on the offensive line. They need upgrades around Trey Hendrickson on the defensive line. They need upgrades at linebacker. They could use some upgrades in the secondary. They need help everywhere. Trading out Lou Anarumo for Al Golden is not making this defense any better overnight. They need talent. And putting all that money into just 4 guys is not helping you make the playoffs because guess what? Those guys all played at elite levels last year. It did not matter. They were not a playoff team. So I think if you're the Bengals, I think they made a mistake in paying T. Higgins. I think they should have traded T, not extended him. Because wide receiver 2 is the position that you can most easily replace, I should say. There are plenty of receivers now in the draft. You can sign out of free agency. Like, receiver, there's so much talent. You can find someone to plug in next to Chase and have them produce. You don't need to be paying a wide receiver to almost $30 million a year when your O-line sucks and your defense stinks. You do not need to be doing that. You should have reallocated that $29 million per year to the defensive line, to the linebacker room, to the O-line. You could have got one player at each with that amount of money to upgrade your defense. I don't see how having the number one passing offense in the league last year and doubling down and giving your top two receivers $69 million per season is the right move for the Bengals to get back to where they want to be, which is a championship contender that they were just not that long ago. How does that make sense? You saw, if you're the Bengals, what ruined your season last year. Wasn't Joe Burrow. Wasn't the offense. It was the defense. The defense that could not hold the lead. That was one of the worst in terms of points per game allowed. One of the worst in terms of yards per game allowed. That is the problem area. They were proof. The Bengals were proof. Having an elite offense and no defense does not mean you're a championship contender. Does not even mean you're a playoff team. Why they are doubling down on the positions that they don't need to double down on and ignoring the problem areas that single-handedly derailed their season last year is bad management. It's bad resource allocation. Makes no sense. You want to pay Jamar Chase? Fine. I think it's the right move. I would have done it. You want to pay Trey Hendrickson? Right move, absolutely. You should have traded T. Higgins. There is no way to justify keeping T. Higgins on your team when you need that money and the draft capital that he would bring back, probably a second-round pick. You need those resources spread out to the rest of the team. Not invested in a wide receiver too. Makes no sense to me. I looked it up in terms of, what it kind of takes to be a playoff contender. Last year, the team with the worst defense that made the playoffs was the Commanders. They were 18th in the league in terms of points per game allowed. The Bengals, again, were 25th. 25th. Really nowhere close. Firing your DC is not good enough. You need to get talent on that defense. How you get talent on that defense? Trading T. Higgins and using the money you would have spent to pay him to upgrade that defense. I don't think paying Joe Burrow, paying Chase, paying Higgins, paying Hendrickson, premium money, top of the market money, and ignoring basically every other position on your team, ignoring the 48 out of the 52 guys on your roster is how you get to the playoffs. It does not work in 2025. That's the road the Bengals are going down. I think it's the wrong one. I think they're making a mistake here in at least extending T. Higgins. I got no problem with Chase, no problem with Hendrickson. Extending T. Higgins is where I had the biggest issue with what the Bengals are doing. 855-212-4227, 855-212-4227. All right, here's what I want to do. Because Michael LaTulip has been very patient with us, and I want to have him come on here because he's an expert. He's a former Illini basketball player, also played at Wright State as well, and now does a great job covering college basketball for the Field of 68. So the goal of this show, Ray, is to try to have you be as informed and well-informed as possible. Mike's an expert, knows way more than me. So let's bring him on here. We're going to take a quick break. When we return, Mike's going to help us break down kind of some upset picks to look for, which Final Four teams he's believing in, even Cooper Flagg, right? Duke announced he's going to play. What can we expect? And if he's maybe not at 100%, which he's not going to be, Duke vulnerable here? Are they, running the risk of being upset early on? Mike LaTulip, Field of 68 analyst, former Illini guard, joins myself, Ryan Hickey, next right here on the Infinity Sports Network.
You're in a 5-minute break. 4 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
This is Hick at Night. Here's Ryan Hickey.
And welcome back into the show. If you are listening to us and filling out your bracket, stop. Put down the penny for at least a few minutes. Because in order for you to win your office pool, in order for you to maybe get the first ever perfect bracket, you need some expert opinions and expertise here to make the most informed decisions you can. To get that expertise, we go to the hotline right now and welcome onto the show Mike LaTulip, former Illinois Wright State guard, now covers the sport of college basketball and doing a great job at it as well for the Field of 68. Mike, happy Selection Sunday to you, man. Thanks so much for giving us a few minutes here.
Yeah, likewise. This is top 3 probably for me. Days of the year. I got like my anniversary with my wife.
Smart. Very smart.
Actually, now that I say that, it might be 2. It might be 2 now that I say that.
Very smart man there. Happy wife, happy life. Always put the wife first. And right below it, Selection Sunday here as we do finally get the bracket. As you just mentioned, we finally know the 68 teams, who they're playing, what the seeds are. So we're a few hours into this, Mike, here, at least from the brackets being released. What's your biggest takeaway now that you finally see the seeds, the matchups, biggest overall takeaway from the bracket?
The biggest overall takeaway is whether or not the conference tournament week really means anything for anyone outside the bubble, right? Or for anyone that's firmly into the field. Because I just, a lot of the seeding that we see is the seeding that, I would have thought it would have been about a week ago. Or even, in some cases, a week and a half ago or 2 weeks ago. The biggest changes have for sure been on that bubble line where you look at North Carolina sneaking in, you look at what Xavier's done for themselves in the last week. Texas, they're running the SEC tournament when they felt like they were firmly out in that Oklahoma game. Mm-hmm. So that's the biggest takeaway here. It feels like all the 1 seeds have been the 1 seeds for the last, probably week and a half, and that's how the bracket turned out.
We're talking to Mike LaTulip here, Field of 68 college basketball analyst. That's interesting, Mike, because I think I'm in this camp as well. I think a lot of fans put a lot of stock into conference championship weekend, and I'm assuming between now and Thursday, you're going to see Florida as a very popular final pick, not just because they're playing great basketball over the last 2 months or so, but I think in part winning the SEC this week in the way they did. I think you're going to see a lot of people, looking at Michigan now as maybe an Elite 8 Final 4 team with what Dusty May has done, and they win the Big Ten. As a former player now, an analyst, how much do you actually take into account here conference tournament success, and in some cases, like for the case of Auburn, maybe failure? How much of that is transferable from conference championship weekend to now the tournament?
Well, I think it all depends on the context that you look at it in, because I think when we look at national champions, I think it's 3 out of the last 10 national champions won their conference tournament heading into the NCAA tournament. So I think it was Kansas back in 2022 was the most recent one. But I think it's interesting because momentum's a real thing. Mm-hmm. And if you're Michigan, they were probably they would not have been a trendy pick whatsoever to win the Big Ten tournament because they had lost 4-6 coming into the tournament. And then now you look at, they're probably going to be an upset pick because everybody loves UC San Diego. So they're going to certainly have some motivation there. You talked about Florida, who really just rolled through the SEC tournament, claiming that and winning that. I actually think out of all the 1 seeds, they actually have the toughest path. The more that I look at this bracket, and we could have talked about Florida after, if you factor in the conference tournament, I think they could have had consideration for a number 1 overall seed. You got Auburn, the number 1 overall seed. They went to Auburn and beat them. Mm-hmm. And then, Duke's a little bit banged up as well. So for them to have the road that they have right now is interesting. But again, I think I cover the Big Ten a lot too. And that's one where there's some recency bias there where, Iowa won the Big Ten tournament a few years ago and lost in the first round to Richmond. Right. Purdue won the Big Ten tournament 2 years ago and loses to FDU. But Illinois last year wins the Big Ten tournament, goes to an Elite 8, and then prior to COVID, there's just a laundry list of Big Ten teams that have won that conference tournament and made the second weekend and beyond. So I think momentum is a great thing for these teams and confidence too. I mean, are you clicking at the right time? And I look at, you talked about Michigan and Florida. Those are 2 teams that certainly are.
No, you're right about that. We're talking to Mike LaTulip here, former Illinois guard. Now does a great job covering the sport for the Field of 68. You mentioned Auburn there as a team, right, that did lose to Florida, that lost in their conference tournament here, albeit the semifinals. But now look at Auburn, still number 1 overall seed, I think rightfully so, but they've been a top team here in the country for a large part of the year. They do come into the NCAA tournament, at least scuffling, losing 3 out of the last 4. Any concern for you kind of look at Auburn here? Are they kind of trending downward? Or is that still a team that come next week you think will kind of still show that they are one of the best teams in the country?
I think I certainly don't want to write them off as a Final Four contender, a national title contender, but there are some genuine concerns. I think when you come into the NCAA tournament, they are kind of thin in their backcourt, so I do wonder about that. I wonder if there are matchups down the road, whether it's, Creighton wins that first game, and that's a scenario where you can go single coverage on a guy like Janai Broom and then stay home on all the shooters on the outside. I mean, that's that could be a possibility. But there's been Chad Baker-Mazar has been a guy this year that's been a bit polarizing, and we saw him get thrown out of the game last year against Yale in the NCAA tournament when they fell to Yale. And can he kind of keep his head on straight throughout this tournament is the question, because they got all the talent in the world, and I think they're a serious contender not only to get to San Antonio, but cut down the nets. But I mean the 3 out of 4 games that they've lost, they've had trouble containing dribble penetration as well. That puts really a lot of strain on your back line with Cardwell and Broom. So I'd be really curious to see how good of a start they can get off to in this tournament. I'm not talking about the 16 seed, but Louisville or Creighton, whoever wins that game, is that a close one, or do we see the Auburn that we saw early to mid-season kind of take form here in the early rounds?
Yeah, like I said, that second-round matchup is going to be tough, whether it's Louisville, who's been playing great. Pat Kelsey has them rolling. Like I said, Creighton is an really interesting matchup for him here in round number 2. We're talking to Michael LaTulip here, Field of 68 college basketball analyst. I think, Mike, when you start to look ahead now to the upcoming week, I think one of the biggest storylines fans and people we're talking about is the health of Cooper Flagg. Right now, it's already come out. Duke said he's going to play in the tournament. The question is how much and what does he look like? How would you, I guess, with an ankle injury, how would you handle Cooper Flagg? And look, the Blue Devils won the ACC without him playing most of the tournament. Are there any vulnerabilities with this Blue Devils team if Flagg is not at 100% for, let's say, a large part of the tournament?
I think there are vulnerabilities. I do think that they proved in that ACC tournament that they are more than Cooper Flagg. And I sat there one night and kind of looked at the lineup they had on the floor, even with Malik Brown out too. And I'm like, okay, Proctor and Knipple and Gillis and Sion James and Malowach. I'm like, dang, that's a really, really good team as is. And then that's without 2 of their best players. So we'll see the status of Cooper Flagg. Do you rest him in that 16-1 game to see if you can get him back for that game against either Mississippi State or Baylor? Duke's my pick to win the national championship. I think they've proven, you talk about like the best teams. I mean, to have a guy like Cooper Flagg go down and see Duke just continue to play the way that they played, it's their defense for me. I mean, they have a lot of talent offensively, but their defense, there's such a system there that each guy, no matter who you insert in that lineup, Isaiah Evans, Mason Gillis, those guys all buy into what they need to do defensively. Caleb Foster, that's why they're my pick. But yeah, I mean, there's going to be kind of the good thing about Cooper Flagg is, yes, he's a talented scorer. He's a high scorer for that team, but his game is, I think, a little bit more. It's easier to probably reacclimate a guy like that who makes his impact defensively, who's more of a toolsy, all-around player, than having a guy that's like super heliocentric, have the ball in your hands and trigger everything for us offensively. So I think it may be a little bit rusty, him coming back if it is in that second game, but I just trust this Duke team for a full 40 minutes. I mean, you got to have tough shot makers, and you got to do it for a full 40 minutes, and that's why this Duke team wins so much, because teams cannot do that.
If you're John Shire, would you even bother playing him in the opening game?
I probably wouldn't. I don't really see the tricky thing with ankles too is, you can overcompensate a little bit, depending on how you wrap it up, or an ankle brace, that you can roll it again. Mm-hmm. And I just think, against American and Mount St. Mary's, I mean, that's a game you should not only just win, but you should win going away. So what would be the point of even playing him the 26 minutes that you would have him in there before that game gets out of hand? So rest him up and try to get ready for a deep run here.
Very interesting. That round 2 either be Mississippi State or Baylor here for the Dukies. We're talking to Michael LaTulip, Field of 68 college basketball analyst, also covers Illinois as well for the Illini Inquirer. Mike, when you look at, I think, some of the coaches here, right? Because I think it's easy to look at the talent, look at some of these teams, but a lot of the best teams in the country are highlighted and held up by some of the best coaches in the country. Mm-hmm. You look at the job Rick Pitino has done at St. John's here in year 2. He's had a year 2 turnaround really everywhere he's been. Going into the tournament, is there a coach right now you trust more than Rick Pitino?
Probably not, to be honest. Just seeing the way we've all seen the clips over the years, over the last few months, weeks and months, and he's got that old school mentality, and he's able to get on his players. And the defense is obviously the most important thing for them, but you hear him all the time talk about his team needing the confidence to step up and make shots. And the reason he's saying that, and the reason he's a great coach, is he knows that they can't get to a national title or maybe even a Final Four with just their defense. They're going to need to make shots at some point throughout this tournament. And so I trust him. He's right up there with the top coaches that I would trust. And he's a guy that's done it before. He's won a national title before. He's done it at different schools. He's been a proven winner everywhere he's gone, even out in Greece. There's no surprise that he's coming back to St. John's and putting them where I think a lot of Johnny's fans think they should be.
He's incredible. Yeah, watching him, like I said, the toughness, the way he encourages, it is different, but those players are listening to him. They are playing some great basketball over there in Queens. We're talking to Mike LaTulip here, field of 68 ounce. All right, so we talked about a lot of the top teams, right, Mike? But as we know, it's not March Madness because all the top teams win its chalk. We got a lot of upsets, a lot of craziness here. Is there a round one matchup, either Thursday or Friday, you look at that says, oh boy, this is ripe, this is prime for a big-time upset here that maybe right now not a lot of people are looking at?
Yeah, I mean, I'll start with the one that people probably are looking at, and that's Colorado State over Memphis. I think the injury to Tyrese Hunter for Memphis looms really large. I mean, there's just a difference between having, multiple ball handlers, which, they have 2, I guess, now without Hunter, and having 3. I mean, there's just a lot that you can do with that type of personnel. So I would say that would be one that I would be looking at. The other one that I think is really interesting is Liberty over Oregon. Oregon's a team that, they have won 8 straight actually going into the Big Ten tournament, but we've just seen they're very middling in a lot of their metrics. They've kind of slowed their pace down as the season's gone on, and Liberty's a team that wants to pull you all the way into the mud. In Oregon, we saw when they played so well back in around Thanksgiving in the Players Era event, it was turning their defense into offense and being able to rebound and run and get out in transition. Liberty's one of the worst offensive rebounding teams in the country, but it's because they get a lot of guys back. They prioritize transition defense. So Oregon's going to have to score in the half court against a good Liberty defense. So that's one that I certainly have circled. I think the other one people are going to really buy into is McNeese over Clemson. I don't see that. I just see too much experience for Clemson. And I think, again, you and I are kind of doing this together. As I'm kind of looking around the bracket, I don't see Yale bullying a Texas A&M team like they bullied Auburn last year. Mm-hmm. I think the one that's going to be interesting is UC San Diego and Michigan. And that's more just when you look at UC San Diego, the way they turn teams over. If Michigan's going to lose a game in the NCAA tournament, it's going to be because not only do they turn the ball over, but they're not able to make that margin back up on the glass. So I'm less looking at the turnovers in that game, and I'm more looking at the rebounds, because I was in Indy and watched Michigan out rebound Maryland by 29 yesterday. So that is one that I just kind of look at and say it's not as simple as the turnovers. But if they can get Michigan on the glass, I think UC San Diego wins that game. And I'll try to give you one more here. One that's kind of flying under the radar, I think, and this is why the NCAA tournament is so fascinating to me, is I think I'll have VCU beating BYU, and BYU's been rolling. But I think VCU plays, they have such a unique style. Max Shulga's a guy who can be as good as really any point guard in the country. He controls the game at a really, really high level. And I think if I were to advance BYU in that game, or I would probably have BYU also beating Wisconsin, but I'll have Wisconsin advancing because I just think that first matchup for BYU is a little bit more tough. So I guess those would be my picks. I'll go VCU over BYU, I'll go Liberty over Oregon, and I'll go Colorado State over Memphis.
Any of those you think maybe could make a run to the Sweet 16? Since 2008, we've seen at least one double-digit seed end up in the Sweet 16. Is any one of those 3 teams you kind of look at and saying, yeah, they're not just poised for one upset here. In theory, they could probably have to pull 2 to get there. Anyone you think maybe this time next week we're still talking about?
Yeah, if you're talking double-digit seeds, I mean, I one team I'm looking at is, crazy enough, is actually Arkansas.
Really?
I know we'll see what happens with Boogie Flang coming back into the lineup, but I think they've kind of turned a corner with, who they are and how do you get reacclimated with Boogie. So I'd say Arkansas is one that I'm keeping my eye on. But the other one, would potentially, and I got Michigan State actually going to a Final Four and beating Auburn. But that second game, if New Mexico upsets Marquette, that is not going to be a walk in the park for Michigan State, I don't think. I mean, with Donovan Dent, Nelly Jr. Joseph, I mean, they have a lot of really good players on that team. Trey Washington, that is one out of the Mountain West that, one that I could see going far. And as I kind of scan the bracket here as well, Maryland I'm really high on. I really like Maryland. This is why I think that bracket's so tough for Florida. So I don't necessarily have Colorado State also beating Maryland, but yeah, New Mexico's, I think, a sleeper team to potentially win multiple games and have that double-digit seed, get to the Sweet 16. I think another one you got to look at, too, because, I mean, this is like the Syracuse route that we've talked about. There's a lot of controversy around North Carolina getting into the tournament. I mean, look at this path for them. I mean, they got Ole Miss. We'll see turnover margins important with Ole Miss, but you got a depleted Iowa State team. Sean Gilbert's out for the season now, it sounds like.
Yep.
So that is set up for a UNC team with all the crazy speculation about how they got in, why they got in, and then just kind of reaffirming things by making a second weekend. We've seen it happen before.
It's funny you said that because that's my exact thought. As when North Carolina was put in there, Mike was like, they don't deserve to be, and I was surprised they weren't. But I feel like now because everyone says why are they in, that's now a team all of a sudden they're going to go from the first four to like the Sweet 16, and it's like, oh man, like they kind of shut a lot of people up. We're going that run unexpectedly because a lot of people are bitching about their inclusion there. I like that one. That's one to definitely keep an eye on for sure. Talking to Michael LaTulip, Field of 60 analyst here. All right, Mike, so you gave us your national title pick here in Duke. To round it out and finish it up here, who is Duke playing in the Final Four? Who are the other two teams in San Antonio here, at least cutting down their respective regional nets and making a trip to the Final Four?
Yeah, we've seen so much dominance in college basketball this year. I think we've had, there's been, I think, 4 teams all time that have had a 35-plus net rating on KenPom that have gotten into the tournament, and all of them have done really well. There's 4 teams this year with a 35-plus KenPom rating, and it's all these 1 seeds that you see here. So if there was a year that you feel like chalk is going to happen, it would be this year, but it's the NCAA tournament. I got Duke obviously going to a Final Four. Tennessee is actually my pick out of the Midwest. I love Houston. I think they have a chance to make the Elite Eight. If it's not, I think Clemson's going to be the one that gets there for the second year in a row. Florida, I have knocking off Texas Tech in the West region to get to the Final Four. And then I have Michigan State beating Auburn in the South. So we got Michigan State, Florida, and Duke, Tennessee. And I got a Duke, Florida national championship with Duke cutting down the nets.
Izzo back in the Final Four. They were saying on the Big Ten Network, I think it's like with how many trips he's made to the Final Four, Michigan State, it's like every 3 or 4 years, I think. It's like he makes a Final Four run. And I think this is the year. I think this is the 4th year he's due. You have a Sparty going back to San Antonio here. I got smarter. Hopefully you did as well. Mike, this was awesome here. Really do appreciate all your insight. Check out Mike on the Field of 68. Check him out on the Illini Inquirer podcast. Check him out on Twitter. Follow all his great analysis at LaTulip_Mike. Mike, really do appreciate the time. Really do appreciate the analysis here. Enjoy the craziness of the next few weeks.
I will, man. It's the best time of year. I appreciate you having me on.
A big thank you to Mike LaTulip. Excellent analysis here. Getting you set to fill out those brackets. Have some expertise when it comes to picking some upsets, and it's also maybe some dark horse Elite Eight Final Four teams as well. All right, it is Ryan Hickey right here on the Infinity Sports Network. When we return, we'll get back to your thoughts. We're taking the double-digit seed you were the most confident in. We're also continuing to react to the breaking news we had that Jamar Chase and T. Higgins both have signed contract extensions with the Bengals. They are going nowhere. We'll do all of that. And also when we return, one of our great listeners, Bobby Buckwheat, he made a song about the show that he tweeted to me earlier tonight. I want to give you a little sample because I'll be honest, it's a banger. You can judge for yourself after we get the latest sports update from Peter Schwartz.
Infinity Sports Network, Sports Flash.
Our riddle sponsored by Progressive Insurance. What do your home and auto have in common? Progressive protects them both. It was an easy riddle. Learn more at Progressive.com. Let the madness begin. For the first time in school history, Auburn is the #1 overall seed in the NCAA Tournament. They're in the South region. They'll face the winner of the first 4 matchup between Alabama State and St. Francis. Duke is the number 1 seed in the East region. They'll play the winner of the first 4 game between American and Mount St. Mary's. Houston, number 1 in the Midwest. They'll face SIU Evansville. And Florida, the number 1 seed in the West region. They'll play Norfolk State. Also in the first 4, it'll be North Carolina against San Diego State and Xavier against Texas. In the women's NCAA tournament, UCLA is number 1 overall. Other number 1 seeds, South Carolina, USC, and Texas. In the NFL, the Bengals have reportedly agreed to terms. Wide receivers Jamar Chase and T. Higgins on contract extensions. Chase reportedly gets a 4-year, $116 million deal, including $112 million guaranteed, while Higgins reportedly gets a 4-year deal worth $115 million for the first 2 years guaranteed. Now to the NBA. We'll start in Los Angeles.
107-96 is your final. The Lakers snap their 4-game losing streak and get back in the win column. And Michael, the Suns made just 9 of 41 shots from 3.
John Ireland on Lakers radio. Lakers over the Suns, 107-96. Luka Doncic with 33 points. Elsewhere, Thunder over the Bucks, 121-105. The Clippers beat the Hornets, 123-88. T-Wolves beat the Jazz, 128-102. Blazers, 105. Raptors, 102. Nets over the Hawks, 122-114. The Sixers beat the Mavericks, 130-125. The Magic over the Cavaliers, 108-103, ending Cleveland's 16-game winning streak. NHL in overtime. Jets beat the Kraken 3-2. Utah over the Canucks 3-1. Islanders beat the Panthers 4-2. I'm Peter Schwartz.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 2 minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
It's Hick at Night.
Hey, how you doing, Ryan? I want to tell you I love your show. I listen all the time.
Hey, how's it going? I appreciate you taking my call. I really love your stuff. You're nailing it again tonight like you usually do.
Where he makes some good points. Sometimes.
Steven is calling from our nation's capital. What's up, Steven?
You are so wrong about this.
Give Ryan your take at 855-212-4227.
We got so much here to break down and get into here. We have, of course, the brackets. I gave my final 4 picks. We'll revisit those here in a little bit. We're also taking your thoughts at 855-212-4227. Because what we're doing is this. What I'm doing is this. I want to get the show involved here and make the show a little bit of money. So we're taking calls tonight on the double-digit seed you believe in the most that can pull off a first-round upset. What I'm going to do is this. I'm putting down $50 of my own money line straight up here on the team you can convince me, the double-digit seed, that can pull off a first-round upset. If that hits, we are splitting the money 50-50. If it doesn't hit, well, I'm at $50, you're at nothing. So make your case and make it convincing as to why I should pick you. Listen to your analysis here and your gut as to why you believe which or why I should put my money down, I should say, on the team you believe, the double-digit seed that could pull off a first-round upset. 855-212-4227. That's the number to get in. We're going to reveal 1 hour from now, end of the show, the caller that we're going to ride with and which team we're going to pick for our first-round upset. We're also reacting to the breaking news of the Bengals locking up T. Higgins and Jamar Chase to long-term extensions. Now also, according to NFL Network, looking to get Trey Hendrickson on a long-term deal as well. He currently has a trade request out, looking to get out of Cincy because he wants to get paid. Before we get back to your thoughts here, Bobby Buckwheat, who is a fantastic listener not only to this show but to the Infinity Sports Network, always very active in our chat on YouTube on the Infinity Sports Network page. He's also a very creative person. And so he tweeted me right before the show started today that he made a Hick at Night theme song. I don't want to be a self-aggrandizing kind of person here. Hopefully this is not how it's coming off. But I want to give Bobby a lot of credit. I think this song just is flat out very catchy. So I want to give you a little sample here and have you be the judge. This is Bobby Buckwheat making a Hick at Night theme song. Here's about 30 seconds. Take a listen.
The radio hums through the dead end town. Ryan Hickey's voice keeps spinning around. The late night callers with dreams on the line. Underneath the stars, the world feels fine. Hick at Night, a man with a plan. Talking touchdowns and small town bands. But out in the dark where the world feels plain, he's out dancing like a girl in the rain.
That's a banger. Like honestly, just like taking the content out of it, that is a catchy song. I'm intrigued. If you want to listen to the full thing, I retweeted on my Twitter, Ryan_Hickey3. And we'll give actually Bobby Buckwheat a shout out here on Twitter as well, because he's done it for other shows. He's made a Shep song as well. I'm not sure about other Infinity Sports Network hosts / shows, but if he's making them, you should listen to him. Check him out, Wolfram Jack. Wolfram Jack on Twitter is where you can find Bobby Buckwheat's songs for shows. I'll say 10 out of 10. I think it's catchy. Full song again can be found on my Twitter as well, Ryan_Hickey3. A+. Bobby Buckwheat, claps for you. That was pretty damn good. 855-212-4227. Let's go out to Rob in Connecticut. What's up, Rob?
Ryan, what's going on? Man, that song is amazing.
Right?
And
Bobby Buckwheat. I don't think he's
music.
singing, but everything was crushed.
That's amazing, Ryan.
3 minutes, the full song. He did a really good job.
Bobby Buckwheat, he was on point. I like it. I like it a lot. So I'm going to kill two birds with one stone. I'll try to make it as quick as I possibly can. It's always a pleasure speaking with you. I completely 100% agree with you about the whole Cincinnati thing. And when you said Buffalo, I was all over that. You know I want Hendrickson.
I know. Yep.
I'm drooling over that. So that was a big mistake on Cincinnati's part, giving T. Higgins the money as well. Chase, I didn't have a problem with. T. Higgins, I did. Anyways, my other thought was I was going to pick Yale as well over Texas A&M, but your boy in Maryland beat me to it. And what I was going to say to you was, if you were to pick it from me, I would have told you to keep the money and take out Zach for a steak dinner and use my money for you guys to go out and eat dinner. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick Liberty over Oregon.
Okay. That just the pick. That's it. We're just trusting the gut there. Liberty over Oregon.
Yes, because now, it's like everything that the caller from Maryland said about Yale over Texas A&M made a lot made a lot of good points. I mean, Yale has 22 and 7, and they're 13-1 in their conference. Texas A&M is they're up and down. I think Yale.
Yeah, no, I mean, it was a tough conference too, Rob, but I appreciate the call, appreciate your perspective. Yeah, I'll put you down as Liberty, although we can maybe, if you want to, feel strong about Yale, we can maybe revisit that here at 855-212-4227. Let's go up to Rhode Island where Matt is. What's up, Matt?
Hey, Ryan, how you doing?
Good, buddy. What's on your mind, man?
Well, I got a team that I think will end up causing a little bit of ruckus in March Madness.
I like to hear it. Who we got?
It's not just because I do a little beat reporting for them, but I truly think the Bryant Bulldogs may be a team that can upset Michigan State.
Why is
in the
that?
round of 64.
That'd be a big one.
Well,
There.
look,
15/2.
You got 5 guys starting for them that are all bigs. No guy is shorter than 6'6". They're third in the country in blocks, 6 blocks per game. When it comes to anyone that can really get in the face of Michigan State and blocking them, it's the Bryant Bulldogs. And not to mention, Michigan State is in the top 3, in the lower 300. They're 325th in the nation in three-point percentage. Bryant is 44th in the nation in defensive 2-point field goal percentage. And since January 1st, they're 16th in the nation in that stat.
Wow. Coming with some hard-hitting facts there, Matt. That's pretty convincing. I mean, you have me thinking about it, man. Bryant, you said you cover the team or do a little bit of coverage of them?
I do.
Also inside.
Some writing for Mid-Major Madness and some other some local radio out here in Rhode Island.
So
And do a lot
you're
of
watching them, and you feel pretty confident here that this is not just like a pipe dream, but this could be a reality.
I think, under Phil Martelli Jr.'s leadership, I really think he's been able to righten the ship with these guys and get them from where they were last season, kind of good, to now great. And with the the knowledge that he's had from his father and just the way he's been coaching, it's been a 180 from last year. And this is a team that 14-2 in conference play.
I got to run here, Matt. I apologize, but you made a very strong case. Thank you for the call. Honestly, I may be considering it. That would make us a lot of money, Matt, that's for sure. When we return, we'll recap the Bengals signing T. Higgins and Jamar Chase, and also give you some March Madness picks as well. It is Hick at Night, Ryan Hickey, with right here on the Infinity Sports Network.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. 1 minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
He's up all night with you.
We could do this all night.
Welcome aboard. It's Hick at Night with Ryan Hickey.
And welcome on into Hick at Night. Ryan Hickey, but they're right here on the Infinity Sports Network. Thank you for making us a part of your evening. A very, very busy Sunday. Off the top here, right? We know the bracket was released, but we also got some breaking news in the NFL world here about, at this point, 2 hours ago. And we got the news from Jordan Schultz of Fox Sports that both T. Higgins and Jamar Chase have signed contract extensions. They are going nowhere. They are staying in Cincinnati. We'll tell you the details of that contract here in a little bit. But I do want to at least kind of start this hour talking some more basketball, talking some NCAA hoops since March Madness is here. The brackets have been released. And what's interesting about them is that we saw the SEC make history today. They got, this is just crazy, 14 of the 16 teams in the league are now in the big dance. They are in the NCAA Tournament. That is a record. They surpassed the record held by the Big East. Back in 2011, they had 11 teams. And what I'm fascinated is because I grew up here in the New York, I grew up on Long Island. And I grew up a huge Notre Dame, mostly football fan, but also liked Notre Dame basketball a lot. So I watched a lot of Notre Dame basketball, which meant I watched a lot of Big East basketball. And, mid-2000s, when I was kind of growing up watching a lot of Notre Dame basketball, a lot of Big East basketball, you had Pitt in there, you had Louisville, you had Syracuse, Georgetown. Like, that was a different style of ball. That was bruising. It was a black and blue conference. But every single year, a lot of the best teams in the country resided in the Big East, UConn, Villanova. So every single year, the Big East would get the most teams of any conference into the tournament. 9, 10, the year they broke the record in 2011, 11. But every year, the same thing happened to the Big East. They would always have the best regular seasons, the most teams in the top 25, the most teams in the top 15, most teams in the top 10. But every single year come tournament time, a lot of those top teams would be out early. And a lot of those teams did not win NCAA championships, did not make Final Fours. A lot of them struggled to make it to the second weekend of the tournament. And it would be because they would always, every week, be facing some top-tier opponent, another top 10 opponent, top 15, top 25, a tournament-caliber team. So it was a grind. It wore them down to the point when, by the time March came, they were out of gas. And so teams that had, easier schedules, that played in easier conferences, they had more juice. They were not as worn down, and they would just run these Big East teams out of the tournament. And so my initial thought when we saw 14 teams in the SEC make it was, I think we could see a similar fate that happened to the Big East happen here to the SEC. I get it. Before we go any further, I get it that the style of play is different, right? Where it's no longer as physical, it's no longer as bruising as it used to be. So how they played in the Big East back in 2008 is not how they play in the SEC in 2025. I get it. It's officiated differently. But still, think about it then from a mental perspective, right? If you're Auburn, if you're Alabama, if you're Tennessee, Florida, whoever it may be, when 14 of your 16 teams in the league that you're playing in make the tournament, you are basically every single week playing 2 tournament teams, if not 2 top 25 teams. That's tough. That's grueling. That's grinding. For almost 3 months, you are playing a schedule to where basically every single night you play, you're playing some sort of tournament team that is capable of upsetting you. I get you can look at it one of two ways. Oh, well, that either strengthens you and makes you better come tournament time because you're used to the level of competition, or it wears you out. We saw for the Big East teams, it wore them out. I'm really interested to see how many SEC teams right now go into this tournament on empty, out of gas, prime for an upset, because each week they have to make sure they're on top of their game and they're on their guard 24/7. Duke in the ACC with a crappy ACC, you can afford to take the foot off the gas a little bit. You can afford to have a sloppy game and not pay for it. You have a sloppy game in the SEC, you are toast. Toast. Every team is capable of taking you out and knocking you down. So to do what Auburn did, going 15-3 in the regular season, is incredible. Doing what Florida was able to do and winning the SEC tournament this week, it's incredible because you're playing top 5, top 10, top 15 teams every single week. I think from a mental perspective, that can wear you down, make you exhausted to where now at this point in the season, when you need to be at your best, you're not, because you're just physically and mentally worn out. Not Auburn, not the top seeds, not Florida, not Auburn, not Alabama. I think at least for the first weekend here, they're immune to that. But look at like Missouri. That's been a popular upset pick as they take on they take on Drake, in a 6-11. I'm fascinated to see how they look. We've had a few callers tonight in terms of picking a double-digit seed to pull off an upset, taking Yale to take down A&M, who's a 4 seed. I got to look, but I think a good amount of these picks here, we have a San Diego State, UNC, play-in, taking down Ole Miss. A lot of the picks that we've had callers in terms of double-digit seeds that could pull off an upset, a good amount of them so far have been double-digit seeds taking down SEC opponents. I'm really interested to see now how this league does do come tournament time. Because I'll say this. If we do see, 10 of the 14 teams, 9 of the 14 teams go down in the opening weekend, and there's 4 or 5 SEC teams left after 2 games, let me tell you this. As someone who used to be a big Big East fan, that's a tongue twister. Try to say that 5 times fast. That conference was clowned when their teams would get bounced early on. That same energy better be here for the SEC. You want to pound your chest and call the SEC, rightfully so, by the way, the best conference in college basketball this season? You better clown them. If we're sitting here talking about 9 of the 14, 10 of the 14 teams gone after opening weekend. I think this could work with the league this deep, this talented, this tough. I think that works against a lot of these teams, not for. 855-212-4227. 855-212-4227. It is Ryan Hickey with right here on the Infinity Sports Network. Before we get back to your thoughts here, I do want to also just address the big news that we got about Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. So this came down and was reported about 2 hours ago from Jordan Schultz of Fox Sports. The Bengals and Jamar Chase agreed to a 4-year, $161 million extension. That makes Jamar Chase at $40.25 million per season, the highest paid non-quarterback in NFL history. T. Higgins did pretty well for himself as well. 4 years, $115 million extension. That averages out to about $28.75 million per year. That makes him the highest paid wide receiver, too, in NFL history, and is not simply at stopping there, as the Bengals have also, as reported by Tom Pelissero of NFL Network, the Bengals have re-engaged with Trey Hendrickson, who currently right now has a trade request out as he enters the last year of his deal, the leading sacker in the NFL from 2024, they have re-engaged about a possible contract extension for him as well. My biggest take is I think paying Jamar Chase is the right move. Paying Trey Hendrickson will be the right move. Paying T. Higgins, you can't justify that to me. That's the wrong move. Because what the Bengals should have done is traded T, save basically the $30 million per year you're going to pay him to reallocate that to other areas of your team and also get the draft capital you get back in return of a trade of T. Higgins and use that to improving the rest of the team around those three star players of Burrow, Chase, Hendrickson. Because the Bengals missed the playoffs last year, not because they needed another receiver. It's because they needed help everywhere else outside of the passing game. They need help on their offensive line. They need help getting after the quarterback outside of Hendrickson. They need help in having a defense that could get I almost cursed on the air, that could get a damn stop at the end of the year, end of the game, instead of constantly blowing leads the way Cincinnati did basically for a majority of the season. I don't see how paying T. Higgins makes you closer to a championship contender that Cincinnati used to be. I don't know right now how you could sit there and call them a playoff team. I love the Bengals. I buy in every single year to this team winning the Super Bowl. I can't, though, sit here and even tell you right now they can make the playoffs because while Burrow is great, while Chase is great, while Higgins is great, while Hendrickson is great, the Bengals missed the playoffs last year because the other 48 guys stunk. They fired Lou Anarumo, their DC. They brought in Al Golden from Notre Dame. Argue it's an upgrade. Al Golden did really well at the Irish the last few years. And he was there coaching them up. They caused a lot of turnovers. Coaching helps, but if you don't have talent, then what are you doing? The Bengals really don't have talent outside of one DB and one defensive end. That's it. They need upgrades at probably 7, if not 8, maybe 9 positions on defense. They're not going to be able to do that. When they had the 15th most cap space coming into the league, they're not going to be able to do that by paying those 4 top guys premium money. They have none left for the rest of the team. How can you truly say the Bengals are in a better position going forward when 48 of the 52 guys on the roster are below average, are not very good because you can't afford to upgrade them because you have so much money tied up into 4 guys and so much money tied up into one area that is just passing the football. Bengals were the number 1 passing team last year. They had no problem throwing the rock. They had a problem everywhere else. You're not getting better everywhere else when you have so much money tied up into 3 or 4 guys. That's why I think extending T. Higgins was the wrong move. They allocated resources to the wrong position, especially a receiver, when it's so easy to find replacements. That's the most replaceable position in football. And why they doubled down on 2 guys paying them nearly $70 million per year, a receiver, to me makes no sense. 855-212-4227, 855-212-4227. So we're taking your calls here. If the Bengals made the right move in extending Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, we're also taking the best double-digit case you have as to why a team will pull off a big upset here, and we'll try to get a decision so far as to which pick we're going to make and put the $50 on here and root as a team. We're a team here. Root for us to make some money. I'm right now between 2. If you want to get in the mix and maybe make the perfect case, 855-212-4227. That is the number Billy Ray from Oceanside called. What up, Billy Ray?
How we doing here at the Trev Hickey?
We are chilling, man. Always good to hear your voice. What's on your mind?
Hey, well, first of all, why can't I like the one-hit wonder you dropped down that rodeo-style white boy stuff, but why don't they just lay down the AI track of Tricky by Run DMC and change it with an H? Make it real simple.
I'll give you Bobby Buckwheat credit here. And in case you missed it, check it out. Bobby Buckwheat wrote a theme song for Hick At Nite. Very good. Country themed.
I appreciated it.
But what I like about it, Billy Ray, is I've heard that before. You know, the whole, oh, it's Hickey, you know, it's Hickey.
All right.
This is original.
I'm just coming from my roots. That's very fair. Have you heard about Ricky Stenicki? Have you watched that movie yet?
What movie is that? I never heard of that.
Ricky Stenicki. Check it out. It's on Amazon Prime. It's got John Cena in it. It's real funny. It's real funny. Now listen, I don't want to talk about the NFL because we got 6 months, you know, to keep talking about the NFL. I want to talk about the brackets with you.
Let's hear it.
Let me ask you something. let me ask you a few questions. Not on the double-digit tip, but first of all, do you think that John Shire had what it takes to take this team the whole way to the rack? And I also want to know, how did you feel about Michigan beating Wisconsin, who had beaten Michigan State in the Big Ten championship game today? Give me a take, brother.
So first with John Shire, I think yes. I think he has what it takes. I mean, you saw him last year. They got to the Elite Eight. That guy's, I think, a good coach. And you saw in the ACC tournament alone, without Cooper Flagg, they have enough talent, number one, but I think also the mental toughness it takes. I think it starts with the head coach to be able to push through, persevere without their number one star. That team never really skipped a beat. I know it got close late, and they got lucky against North Carolina in a game and an ending, Billy Ray, that I've never seen in my life, without a doubt.
Who that young dude on Duke? That he just like huge, man. He mammoth.
Proctor, but that's the thing. Like, they have a few players outside of Cooper Flagg that can play. I think John Shire, he is definitely not, you don't have to worry about him holding Duke back in this run. No doubt about it. As long as Cooper Flagg is healthy, which probably not, honestly, just because at this point, it's just hard to expect him to be 100% anytime soon. But at least he'll be out there for the tournament. But you don't have to worry about John Shire, number one. Number two, I mean, you talk about Michigan. That's just a credit to Dusty May. And like you talk on, this is what's so great about the tournament, because it shines a light on so many good coaches and players that may not get the spotlight during the year at smaller schools, right? No one heard of Dusty May 2 years ago in FAU, and you see them make the run to the Final Four, and you see this guy can coach. And no matter where he goes, he's proof now in Michigan. If you're a good coach, you can win wherever. And for him to come in, taking over the worst program in the Big Ten last year, to have them win the Big Ten tournament, take down Wisconsin in a game, by the way, that was ugly. And I was questioning, is Michigan going to get enough offense to win this game? I mean, Wisconsin was not lighting it up either, but for them, at least for Michigan to pull it out, and again, close late, shows you how great of a coach Dustin May is. That's a team that's going to be, I think, a popular pick to make a deep run here as a 5 seed. Billy Ray, always appreciate you calling and giving us your perspective. Yeah, I think you don't got to worry about Duke. I think Michigan here, I think it's going to be a tough team. No doubt about it. That's a coach that knows what the hell he's doing in Dusty May. 855-212-4227. Let's go to Thomas in Florida. What's up, Thomas?
What's going on, Ryan? Hickey, how you doing, my friend?
Good, man. How we doing? What's on your mind?
Dude, I'm on spring break right now in Panama City Beach.
You're spending your spring break down in Panama. First of all, you sound pretty sober. That's a surprise.
Yeah.
For 1:16 in the morning. What'd you do today?
It's been a fun day. Well, I don't want to make this. Basically, I'm with my campus ministry. It's called Campus Crusade for Christ. So we're going out on the beach and just outreaching, evangelizing.
That's why you're sober. I got it. Okay. Makes sense. Good for you.
There are a lot of people, though, drinking.
I'm sure. I'm very sure about that, Thomas.
But, my friend, it's so good to hear from you. By the way, I'm outside on the porch. I'm not waking anybody up. I'm probably one of the only people, and we're staying in these really nice villas at this really nice resort, too. So.
Nice, look at you. Look at that. Jesus pays. Paying and staying in a nice place. If you're spreading the word, better get some good rest.
To anybody listening nationally across the nation, Jesus loves you, man. That's all I'm going to say. Let's get into sports, though.
Let's do it, Thomas.
I got some breaking news. I just filled up all 3 of my brackets.
Okay.
By the way, I put $30 for a $10 buy-in. We call it March Madness group that one of my friends from school made. Maximum of 3 brackets, but I went all in.
Okay.
$30 down. One of my brackets is called my coin flip bracket. So I literally flip a coin, kind of like it's completely random. One of them, I used help with none other than a little generative AI, ChatGPT.
You trusted ChatGPT to make your picks for you? What does the computer know?
I mean,
who did ChatGPT have winning it all?
You want me to tell you?
Yeah.
I will tell you. Here's my.
Wait, why not?
Here's
why is it a secret?
I didn't, Ryan, Nicky. I didn't utilize chat for every single pick. I was just curious to see the direction and see the analysis, from the sources and everything, Or as Pat McAfee would say, people may agree or disagree. They either love you or hate the dude. But Pat McAfee, as he says in the show, according to ChatGPT's source, is from all over. Like the biggest upset that I have.
Okay, let's.
From either ChatGPT or my coin flip. How about this? I was considering Warford over Tennessee, but how about High Point over Purdue, 13/4. I also have McNeese over Clemson. I didn't pick it, but oh man, Ryan Hickey, you won't believe how close I was picking some 16/1 upsets. Like, do you think the Duke gets upset?
I don't.
No.
We had about an hour ago, Thomas. We had Mike LaTulip on for covers college basketball for the Field of 68. They do a great job covering the sport. And it's funny, I was asking, he advocated for not even playing Cooper Flag if you're Duke in game number 1. So I guess if they follow that model, I mean, I don't think Duke is nothing to worry about. I don't think this is the year with how elite the top teams are. I don't think this is the year we're going to see a 16/1.
Exactly. I have 2 more for you, and then I'm probably going to call it a night.
Sure, why not?
Monday morning. I got bright and early morning.
What time are you getting on the beach tomorrow to spread the word?
8:30 a.m. We actually have like a little Devo time, a little worship, a little prayer and everything.
Okay.
So I probably need a little sleep.
Yeah, I mean, you're pretty late.
Or so
7 hours, jeez.
Yeah, usually I like my 8s.
Well,
the other day was a rough night, and my laundry's going off. So we'll make this quick, and that way I'll turn off that buzzer so I'm not waking folks up in the villa. But anyway, 2 other ones. How about Bryant over Michigan State? I could realistically see it.
We've had a caller say that already. Mad in Rhode Island.
You probably have nobody has even been close to saying the Lipscomb over Ohio State. But put it on there.
Lock it up. Really fast here, Thomas, before we let you go.
Thomas from Panama City Beach, Florida right now is picking Lipscomb over Ohio State. Not my ChatGPT, but my coin flip bracket.
I like it. Let me ask you this. How long have you been down in Panama City Beach for?
Yeah, we can leave on this. So we're going to be here so we left Friday.
Okay, so you just got down there.
Stories, though. Some of my friends, literally, really quick. I know I've been on here for 5-ish minutes already, feels like, but one of my friends, well, we are caravanning down, but one of our caravans literally, there's a tornado that literally was funneling right to the side of the road. And they called 911, got off the road first off, smart thing, and actually had to sleep in a fire station. I kid you not, right?
Wow.
You beautiful son of a gun.
This is a hell of a... This just keeps getting crazier and crazier.
Scary.
Let me ask you this really fast, Thomas. I'm just fascinated.
Our caravan was safe, but, dude, yeah. So we're here the 15th officially because we got here Saturday through the 21st. And we'll get
Any
back
crazy interactions so far that you can say that's clean? Because I'm sure Panama, when you're talking to people, they're not exactly the most sober mind.
Can I tell you, I did talk with 2 people and evangelize their names. I'll say it, Christian and Tyler. One was a Methodist, the other one was a Catholic that we talked to. And then they had like 5 or 6 of their other friends that joined in. But I'm going to tell you of just a wholesome interaction that happened even before we started evangelizing. So, how do I say this? Professionally, too. Me and my friend, I won't say his name on national radio, but just out of respect for him, if that's all right for you, Mr. Ryan Hickey.
Sure. Let's just get to the chase here. Is there anything exciting about this story, Thomas?
Yes. Yeah, no. So we somehow this old lady came up behind us. She was like, y'all, I really want to dip my feet in the water, but I'm afraid I'm going to fall down and get dizzy or pass out. She was like, can y'all just keep me upright and everything? And we're like, this is the most sweetest lady. She's been walking with the Lord in her face for 57 years, Ryan Hickey. 57 years. And I kid you not, that's swear on my life and oath right there, 57 years. But like we walked with her probably for like 6 minutes before we started evangelizing. Oh, beautiful, man. Beautiful just to get her story and everything. And what a lady, man. So
very nice. So very wholesome.
For those, one more thing. For those who do have the faith, just be praying for Linda. Linda's her name, man. What a lady. She was so sweet.
Thomas, best of luck to you this week, spreading the word. I appreciate the call. Staying up late with us in Panama City. That is not an easy job. Let me tell you, trying to talk to kids that I'm sure are going to be blacked out at 9 a.m. on their spring break. Not the job for me. I could not do it. 855-212-4227. 855-212-4227. I did not really know the twists and turns we're going to go there. But thank you, Thomas, for giving us kind of a look into his life, to say the least. When we come back, we're going to get the show back on track here, and we'll discuss the one upset I think no one is talking about that we could realistically see here in round number 1. We'll do that when Hick At Nite returns right here on the Infinity Sports Network.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. 30 seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
It's Hick at Night with Ryan Hickey.
Welcome back into the show. Ryan Hickey with you right here on the Infinity Sports Hour. This is the last call. So what we're doing here is having some fun, getting the show involved, and having you win some money. So I am putting $50 out of my own money on the double-digit seed that we are most confident in can pull off a first-round upset. How it works is very simple. You call 855-212-4227 now between the end of the show. 855-212-4227. You make your case as to which double-digit seed you are the most confident in pulling off a round one upset and why. You make a case that's compelling enough. I choose your case. I put the money down on the team you suggested. If it wins, we split the money 50-50. If it loses, well, I'm out $50. You're out nothing. So it's risk-free. No sweat here. Nothing to lose, all to gain. At 855-212-4227. I'll be honest here. So we got some great calls and some great cases made. I am right now down at 2. I'm going to pick the winner here in the next segment. I am down to Michael in Chicago, who started us off and made a strong case as to why Drake will upset the 6th seed in Mizzou. Side of Missouri's record of late. Drop some names. Top 40 defense, lower scoring team. He thinks Drake's going to win a lower scoring game or in which Mizzou does not really play. Lower scoring games. I'm between Drake and let's get nuts here. Let's get really nuts. Michael in Rhode Island, who suggested Bryant, the 15, taking down Michigan State, who I have, at least in the first bracket I filled out here, in the Elite Eight. Tom Izzo is one of the best tournament coaches we have seen in college basketball. But I will say Matt made a strong case. Bryant plays big. They got 5 players, all above 6'6" in the starting lineup. 3rd in the country in blocks per game. 44th in terms of 2-point defense, side of the fact that Michigan State struggles shooting the 3, so they're going to have to rely on the 2. I may be leaning Matt in Rhode Island right now. We'll see. I got to think it over here a little bit more, but a strong case made. If you want to make your case, 855-212-4227. As a reminder, this portion of the show is brought to you by Ethos Life, the easy way to get life insurance in 10 minutes. Up to $2 million in coverage with no medical exam and just a few health questions. Get your free quote at checkethos.com. That is not available in all states. And as a reminder, their website, checkethos.com. I'm not going to put any money down on this, but I do think the upset. Actually, that's a lie. I think I will put not $50. I'm going to put a few bucks down on this one. The upset no one's talked about so far in the last few hours about the bracket release that I think we'll see go down. We're going to see for the second straight year a 14 takedown to 3. Last year, Oakland and Jack Golke taking down Kentucky. This year, Lipscomb taking down number 3 seeded Iowa State. Lipscomb, very good 3-point shooting team. They got 5 guys in the starting lineup that shoot 33% or better from 3. Spread the floor. Guys, you got to guard all over. This is a team that's 29th, Lipscomb is, in terms of field goals, 3-point field goals made per game. We look at Jack Golke in Oakland last year. Shot the 3 to death and outscored Kentucky. Lipscomb is capable of doing the same thing here. They spread the floor. All 5 guys on the court can shoot the 3 and make the 3. Also, in Lipscomb's favor here, they don't turn the ball over. They're not going to commit stupid turnovers, give Iowa State 2nd, 3rd, 4th chances at beating them here. They don't beat themselves. They hit the 3. And Iowa State's going into this game shorthanded. Their head coach, TJ Olsberger, announced earlier this evening that their second leading scorer, Keshawn Gilbert, out of the tournament. That's a big loss for the Cyclones. So Iowa State's hurt. Lipscomb can shoot the three. Don't turn it over. Give me Lipscomb. Give me their head coach, Lenny Akoff. Let's go, Lipscomb. 14. Taking down the three. Upset I think we see in round number 1 that no one is talking about. 855-212-4227. Let's go to Michael in South Carolina. What's up, Michael?
Hey, whatchamacallit? I just wanted to talk a little bit about the
double-digit seed you think could pull off an upset?
Yeah.
Who we got, Michael?
I'm a huge Maryland Terps fan, but I'm a little worried about this Grand Canyon matchup. Not like too bad, but just because, when's the last time we really made a huge run and made a good run in this tournament, had a good tournament? It's been a while, man. I think the last time we really had a real good team is when Melo Trimble played back a long time ago. But
yeah, as a Penn State guy, I remember watching Melo Trimble in person. He was so good. As a freshman, my God.
Yeah, dude. I don't know, man.
So
Maryland's a great team this year, but they're a little sketchy, man. I feel like that upset is kind of more likely than, a lot of the ones we've been hearing that people might be thinking,
So that's more of a Maryland thing. You think you're going to lose, Michael, to an online university?
I mean, no, not really, but
you're nervous.
If I had to make a bet, I might make that one against my Terps just because I feel like we have that luck.
All right, Michael, I appreciate the call. That sounds like a lot like some of my friends here. One of them in particular, actually the guy whose bachelor party I'm going to this week, Drew, he is someone that would absolutely bet against this team. He did in the Super Bowl. He bet the Chiefs to win because he said he needs an emotional hedge. So if the Eagles win, he's happy. But if the Eagles lose, at least he makes a few bucks on the game. I could never bet against my team. I should have asked Mike before hanging up on if he actually is going to put money down when it's all said and done. But he is not at least confident. I think Maryland's going to be fine. They're a really good team. I'm not worried about them, at least in round number 1 against Grand Canyon. That's for sure. Florida in the Sweet 16, different story. But I think Maryland's good enough. Even though the history has not said otherwise, I think you can throw a history when you come to these one-game elimination tournaments. Believe in Kevin Willard. This team is different than in years past. They got an actual good head coach now. Maryland's going to win, no doubt about it. Ryan's calling from Charlotte. What's up, Ryan?
Hey, how's it going, Ryan? I'm good to talk to you again.
Likewise, man. What's on your mind?
Well, I want to talk about the March Madness. We all know college basketball is a 3-week sport. So it takes center stage for 3, which is good. But it takes center stage for 3 weeks. But I am excited. I have two questions I wanted to leave you with. Also, I'm trying to figure out the team that there will be a Cinderella story. To answer your question, I don't know who it is. I'm actually trying to figure out. I kind of like the caller that just called about Grand Canyon. I kind of like that's possible. They're definitely possible. I'm trying to figure out of all the teams in it right now, who it could be. But somebody will surprise all of us and be the Cinderella story. I'm a Tar Heels fan, just being here in Charlotte, in North Carolina. I am a Carolina Tar Heel fan. I figured they would get it. I thought the Wake Forest victory, was enough to put them in, and then their comeback against Duke, on Friday night, I think that assured it. I am concerned about how they're going to do. They've been very up and down. But I'll get right to my 2 questions I had for you. One of them is an issue I have, and I want to see what your take on it is. But question number 1 is, how do you feel about teams? I know nobody cares about the NIT. I call it the not invited tournament, but I think when a team, when a team misses the NCAA tournament and gets an NIT bid, I don't like when teams turn it down for lots of reasons. Me as a coach myself here, I would love to play. I would love to play, as long as I could, and I think the players would
get the experience, right?
Exactly. So I don't like when they turn it down. So I wanted to get that's question number 1. How do you feel about teams, declining NIT bids? And then my second question is, you can see it today. When the South Carolina women didn't get that number 1 seed, you could see they were mad. And I watched Dawn Staley's interview, and I know they weren't undefeated, but I think UConn men and South Carolina women should automatically. I think when you win the championship, there's not another champion until that following year when the tournament's played. So I do think if you're the champion, you should automatically in every sport be like the Philadelphia Eagles in the NFL. They should be ranked number one going into the next season. They won the Super Bowl. I just think when a team wins, until there's another champion, that should be the team.
Right.
I don't like how they do it.
You want to talk about the
feel about that?
preseason, Ryan? We can maybe have a discussion and appreciate the call and the perspective. But in both cases, they had a full season to prove it. Who's calling right now UConn one of the best teams in the country? Nobody. They're an 8 seed for, I think they're 9, and they're an 8 seed. They're an 8 seed for a reason because they've not been good defensively. They've not gotten consistent scoring. The talent just is not there from the past 2 years. We saw them just run through the tournament. They had a full year to prove why they should be number one. Same with South Carolina. They should not be upset at all that they're not number one in the tournament. I know you said going into next year. You didn't say going to the tournament. But the Eagles, if you want to say preseason ranking should be number one, I don't think just because you win that you automatically become number one. If you lose a lot of production, I don't think that all of a sudden necessitates you being number one next year. I think it's a year-by-year thing. If you lose 10 starters out of 11 in football, should you still be considered the best team next year? Probably not. I have no problem with that. And as far as the NIT team, honestly, Ryan, I don't really care, dude, to be honest with you. I don't think it matters either way. If I was a player, I'd rather play as much as I can. But I don't think, the NIT does not carry over from one year to the next. I saw Penn State win an NIT championship, then miss the tournament the next year. It's not a building block. It's not a momentum builder. It's a chance to play a few extra games. That's it. Fans don't care. Players clearly don't care. I don't have a problem with if you say, no, thanks, I'm done. 855-212-4227. It's Ryan Hickey right here on the Infinity Sports Network. We got the cases made. We'll pick the team and the caller we're going to put our money behind. And also when we return, Sunday Scaries, including, you think you have it bad. Well, imagine you die. And imagine one of your best friends is not there at the funeral. We'll tell you the excuse as to where they are after we get this latest sports update from Peter Schwartz.
Infinity Sports Network Sports Flash.
Sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Your small business keeps you on the go. Progressive Commercial Insurance keeps your policy within reach. With our easy-to-use mobile app, learn more at progressivecommercial.com. We tip off with Selection Sunday in the NCAA Tournament. Alabama, the number one overall seed for the first time in school history. They're in the South region. They'll face the winner of the first four matchup between Alabama State and St. Francis. Duke, number one seed in the East region. They'll play the winner of the first four game between American and Mount St. Mary's. Houston, number one in the Midwest. They'll take on SIU Evansville. Florida, number one in the West. They'll play Norfolk State. Also in the first four, it'll be North Carolina against San Diego State. Xavier takes on Texas. In the women's tournament, UCLA is the number one overall seed. The other number one seeds are South Carolina, USC, and Texas. Now to the NFL. The Bengals have reportedly locked up two of their most important players, agreeing the terms with wide receivers Jamar Chase and T. Higgins on contract extensions. Chase reportedly gets a 4-year deal worth $116 million, including $112 million guaranteed. Meanwhile, Higgins reportedly gets a 4-year deal said to be worth $115 million for the first 2 years, guaranteed. Now to the NBA, we'll start in Portland, where the Blazers were clinging to a 3-point lead over the Raptors in the final seconds.
105-102. This time from the near side, Castleton looks to get it in over Chris Murray. Gets it into an open Robinson, blocked from behind by Matisse Thybulle. Grabs the ball, it's a Rip City winner. Welcome back, Matisse.
Travis Demers on Blazers Radio. Blazers over the Raptors, 105-102. Anthony Simons with 22 points. Elsewhere, Thunder 121, Bucks 105. Clippers 123. Hornets 88. The T-Wolves over the Jazz 128-102. Nets 122. Hawks 114. Lakers over the Suns 107-96. The Magic beat the Cavaliers 108-103, ending Cleveland's 16-game winning streak with Sixers over the Mavericks 130-125. I'm Peter Schwartz.
You're in a 5-minute break. 4 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
This is Hick at Night. Here's your host, Ryan Hickey.
Welcome back into the show. Appreciate you giving us a few minutes right here on the Infinity Sports. Now we can miss any part of the show. Hick at Nite, Nite spelled N-I-T-E, available wherever you do get your pods. That is how you can catch up on most of the show here. Also, you can check it out on YouTube, where we stream live on the Infinity Sports Network YouTube page. And also, you can check out my own YouTube page as well, where a lot of videos are posted. Ryan Hickey is a channel. Okay, before we get to Sunday Scares, we've been taking your calls here at 855-212-4227 all show long. The prompt was this: double-digit seed that you have the most confidence in pulling off a round one upset. I'm putting $50 down this week of my own money on a team that you can convince me on will pull off an upset. If it hits, we split the money 50-50. If it loses, I'm out $50. We've taken your calls. I've considered the options. And I think we're going to do it. We're going to get wacky, crazy, nuts on this show. The money is going, thanks to Matt in Rhode Island, on Bryant. He sold me. I think we're seeing a 15 takedown of 2. We are rooting on Bryant, taking down Michigan State, $50 on Bryant to win outright. Matt sold me. Now, he said he's seen some Bryant games. I trust his judgment here. Never talking to him more than the 2 minutes we just talked before. We talked about the size, third in blocks. They're 44th in terms of 2-point field goal defense. Michigan State is a team that struggles shooting the three, so they have to rely on a lot of 2-point offense here. I think I'm going to put the money down. Bryant to take down Michigan State should be a pretty payout if, in fact, we do see this go down. And what also intrigues me here, makes me feel a little bit more confident outside of just Matt's analysis, was the fact that I was looking at the tip times here announced. 10 Eastern in Cleveland, Friday night. I feel like things get weird late at night. Let's go. And that's not going to tip at 10. It's going to be pushed back here. Let's get wild and nuts and crazy. Like a midnight, 12:30, 1 a.m. sweat. Let's get nuts. Bryant taking down Michigan State. That's where the money is going. So Matt in Rhode Island, listen closely here. Because how you get the money, right, is by, we need your information. So here's what we're going to do. I'm not here next week. I'm off, coming back from that bachelor party and trying to probably put the pieces of my life back together this time next week. 2 weeks from now, I'm back here on the show. If Bryant pulls off the upset here, call back at 855-212-4227. You can take a victory lap. We'll get your info, and we'll figure out a way to split the money. If they lose, well, don't worry about it. You're getting nothing. So hopefully, if you like us, you're rooting for our success, root for Bryant Friday night and Hick At Nite. As a collective, we are all winners. All right, before we get out of here and get it ready for Pat Boyle, let's give you a few Sunday Scaries.
The weekend is winding down. Hey, Ryan, who's got the Sunday Scaries this week?
This picture has been floating around social media this week of a gentleman attending the Big East Tournament here in New York City who, on his laptop, or maybe looks like a tablet here, is streaming a funeral. Could you imagine if you died and one of your friends decides, I'm not going to attend the funeral, I'm going to go virtual, just like work now. Yeah, I'm working virtually today. Yeah, I'm going to the funeral virtually today. I'm going to the Big East Tournament. I got to watch Marquette play. Don't worry, though. Give me the video. I'll watch. I've never seen this. This can be the move going forward. Maybe virtual funerals is how we go ahead and progress for humanity. Let's make this a thing. Why go in person? Why grieve and talk to people you haven't seen in a while? We can just simply open the laptop, join the Zoom link, and grieve in your own time. Be at home and grieve. Go to the Big East Tournament and grieve. This guy may be honest. I don't know if he has the Sunday Scares or not. We're giving him the Sunday Scares because imagine, again, you know someone close enough to where you feel like you should be in attendance, but you prioritize the Big East Tournament over going to their funeral. Probably not the best vibes. Probably not the best karma, if you believe in that, kind of coming around to you. That could be the move. Could be the future Streaming a funeral at a college basketball tournament during a weekday. Yeah, I think you got yourself the Sunday Scaries right there. That'll do it for the show. Thank you for choosing us to spend a few minutes of your Sunday with right here on the Infinity Sports Network. Big thank you to Connor Armstrong doing an A-plus job producing. As always, don't go anywhere. Pat Boyle's next. Miss any part of the show. Hick at Night. Night spelled N-I-T. Available wherever you catch pods. And on YouTube, Brian Hickey. That's you catch up with the show. Best of luck to your bracket. Have a great week. Enjoy the madness. We'll talk to you in 2 weeks right here on the Infinity Sports Network.
You're in a 5-minute break.